When we last saw the Washington Redskins on Monday Night Football, they were soundly beaten and beaten up. They were hurt, they were down, they were practically out.
We pretty much were down on the season, like, man, here we go again. We haven't been to the playoffs in 3 years. Are we going to get back in here or what?
The Redskins began to assemble the wreckage after that night in Philadelphia. The wounds began to heal, and a winning spirit emerged. Role players rose and became leaders. Men like running back Ernest Biner sounded the battle cry.
Let's fight. When you get down, you back a dog into a corner, and then he comes out scrapping, and that's the way I think we felt.
The Redskins have now won 4 of their last 5 games and are streaking into the playoffs as the NFC's #1 wild card. They were world champions 3 years ago, and Super Bowl 25 is well within reach as they approach the playoffs.
We are there, and it's been 2 years. Last time we went to the Super Bowl. So that's fresh on our minds. I wore my Super Bowl ring last night for the first time in a while. Just kind of a friendly reminder that, hey, I'd like to get another one of these real soon.
The Redskins face Eric Dickerson and the Indianapolis Colts on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Are you ready?
Go Skins!
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for some football? A Saturday night party? Hey, there's a rockin' Randall Hank, ready to get the good time started. From the opening kickoff to the grand finale, it's a Super Bowl season on a ABC. Yes, everybody is a fan. This is the biggest party, man. All my rowdy friends across this land, we all got it started. Yeah. Everything is ready on a very special night. Monday Night Football on Saturday night.
ABC's Monday Night Football, brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Miller Lite, with a reminder to please think when you drink this holiday season. And by Tylenol, its pain reliever is in a class by itself.
Welcome to the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, Indiana. A good crowd on hand, nearly 60,000 for tonight's game. The Washington Redskins and the Indianapolis Colts. Tonight, a Saturday night special edition of ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. Hello again, everyone. Frank Gifford along with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. We got our Christmas tree, and we can tell Debbie and Linda and Kathy that we are going to get home tomorrow. Maybe. The weather is a little rough outside, but we got a few reindeer hanging around. We're so delighted that you've joined us on this Saturday night of the Christmas weekend. Good football game, we think, coming your way. The Colts are 6-8, all but mathematically eliminated from the playoff scene, but they could be a problem with running back Eric Dickerson and quarterback Jeff George to the 9-5 Washington Redskins. The Redskins have clinched one of the 3 NFC wild cards, but they're in control of their own destiny as to where they play that first wild card game. They know if they win tonight and then win next Sunday at RFK Stadium in Washington against Buffalo, they will play that first game at home and in all probability against the Philadelphia Eagles. That, of course, to be determined, but they would much rather be in Washington against Philadelphia than they would in Philadelphia. But our team, Al Michaels, that is like a couple of other teams we've seen recently, a team that's coming together and maybe at the right time into the playoffs. They're playing Joe Gibbs kind of football, December football, if you will, for the Redskins.
Frank, a lot of things are working very well for them right now. Ernest Biner's at the very top of his game. The offensive line is doing its job. They have the posse, the 3 great receivers in Monk and Clark and Sanders. Their defensive unit lacks superstars, outright superstars, but still they are very, very effective, and they are gelling as well. It's a defensive unit that's allowed only 2 touchdowns in its last 3 games. How far will the Skins go? I think they will go as far as Mark Rippon will take them. He is the missing piece right now. He missed 6 weeks because of arthroscopic knee surgery. 2 weeks ago, he got away with it against Chicago. He threw 5 interceptions, but they still won the game. Last week on a slick field, he didn't have to throw. He completed only 5 passes. The running game got them past New England. I think Rippon really has to emerge, and if he does, the Redskins will surprise a lot of people in January. Dan, the Redskins looking forward to the playoffs. The Colts are still mathematically alive, but in reality, they're looking at 1991.
Yeah, they really are, Alan. Some of those questions surrounding 1991 are beginning to come together here in Indianapolis. The first question surrounded their head coach, Ron Meyer. A lot of people were saying, even as early as the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, that this was it. He was finished, especially considering this team lost 6 out of their first 8 ball games. Jim Irsay put that to rest this week. The Colts vice president said, and general manager, that Ron Meyer will be back next year. He will honor the final year of his contract. Well, also, how about the #1 pick in the draft? That, of course, Jeff George, the talented quarterback. It's been a rocky year for him, out 3 games with an injury on a losing ball club. But I think a good indication of his progress would be he has an equal number of touchdown passes and interceptions. For a rookie quarterback in that situation, that's very, very good. And finally, of course, it looks like Eric Dickerson is coming to life. Over 100 yards last week. Maybe the troika of Meyer, George, and Dickerson can take this team places in 91.
And so in Indianapolis, here we go as we get set for the last of 3 Saturday games in the NFL. Earlier today, Detroit knocked off Green Bay. The Raiders beat Minnesota. And tonight it's Indianapolis hosting the Washington Redskins, with the Redskins to receive and Dean Biasucci to kick off for Indianapolis. Biasucci will put it in the air, and back to receive for the Redskins, Joe Howard along with Stephen Hobbs. Howard number 80. Hobbs on the left of your screen, 86. Jerry Markbright is our referee. Almost a sellout in Indy, but a couple of thousand tickets did remain as of the blackout deadline, and so there is no local telecast tonight. Temperature outside in the mid-20s. Inside, as always, a comfortable 72, and here we go. Good deep kick by Biasucci, and bringing it out is Howard from 4 yards in, and he can only bring it back to the 14, where Ivy Joe Hunter makes the tackle. Mark Rypien started the season as their #1 quarterback, was hurt. Stan Humphries took over. Then he was hurt in that Monday night game. Back came Rypien the following week to lead them to a win against New Orleans. And with him, Biner in the backfield, then Monk and Sanders and Clark are the wideouts, with Warren the tight end. The veteran offensive line, Lachey, McKenzie, Bostic, Schlereth, and Jacoby. Russ Grimm doesn't start tonight. He's nicked. First down from the 14, and Rypien completes his first pass to Gary Clark. Last week we mentioned Rypien completed only 5 passes in the game against New England, none of them to Clark. So Gary, after getting shut out, is called on the first play tonight. Thompson, Armstrong, and John Hand is back after he's been out with an injury. Banks, Harrod is their key man in the middle. Vanderbeek and Bickett are the linebackers. Fred Young is inactive tonight. Good and Daniels are the corners. Keith Taylor and Mike Pryor are the safeties. 2nd and 3, Washington from the 21-yard line. Here's Ernest Biner seeking the first down and coming up about a yard short. John Hand makes the tackle, and the Redskins, who have been very unproficient on 3rd and 1, are faced with that situation early on. They are only 45% in converting 3rd and 1 plays this year. The league average is 66%.
It's kind of a strange number considering the strength of their offensive line. The real guts of this offensive unit is that offensive line.
Worst in the league, and normally teams make it 2 out of 3 times. Kelvin Bryant is in the backfield on 3rd and 1, and they'll try to do it through the air, and they do on a pass to Bryant, who for years now has been their 3rd down specialist. Jeff Harrod makes the stop. First down, Skins.
Interesting play selection. They open the game when you feel that they would like to run the game and dominate against a team weak against the run. The Colts 23rd in the league against the rush. They come out on a first down, throw the ball. They get a 3rd and a little more than a yard, and they put the ball in the air again when you think they're going to run. Kind of Joe Gibbs football, though, too. He goes against what you think he's going to do.
First down from the 32-yard line. Here's Biner swinging to the short side of the field and picking up about 6. Stopped at the 38-yard line. Chris Good and Jeff Harrod converge on the tackle.
One of the things that Colt head coach Ron Meyer was really concerned about was attempting to play smash mouth football with the Washington Redskins. If you just keep an eye on the line of scrimmage and what has happened so far, at least early here, and of course it's way too early to make any sort of an assumption, but his team is not getting across the line of scrimmage. You do not see a blue jersey making any sort of penetration. The Redskin offensive line, at least early, is really having their way with the guys in blue.
2nd and 4, and a little trickery on an end around as Gary Clark gets stopped at the 40-yard line by Eugene Daniel, the corner, holding his ground, staying with it, and it will make it 3rd and 2.
Daniel played that so well. He moved up to the line of scrimmage. Art Monk was there to block him. Monk made that block. It could have been 6, but it also could have been a clip. And here comes Clark. And you'll see Monk had to pull off the block of Daniel and go downfield to avoid the clip. The other thing, Dan, speaking of mouth football, hard to believe these Colts have enough mouth smashers.
Yeah, really?
To go with the Redskins.
No, I don't. They don't. Ron Meyer knows it.
3rd and 2, early first quarter. We're just underway at Indianapolis with no score. Bryant again in the game, number 24. Sanders starts in motion. And Rippon on 3rd and 2 throws an out pattern, incomplete, intended for Gary Clark. Keith Taylor covering on the play, but Clark had him beat to the outside. Rippon just couldn't get it there.
It's a bad pass. That was a full blitz. You'll see the Colts on the blitz. That means Clark is going to be man for man, locked up easily with Good. And this one, Rippon knows he should have got there. The offensive line, the backs picked up the blitz, and he was wide open.
Boy, you could tell, Frank, that Clark wasn't expecting the ball that much towards the sidelines. You see the way he pivoted towards the middle of the field. Normally on that out pattern, you make a clean break to the sideline.
He also read the blitz.
Kelly Goodburn does a nice job getting the kick away. He had to short hop it off the snap by John Brandis, and it's fair caught by Clarence Verdun after a 38-yard kick. So the Colts will take over. Good job by Goodburn, who took over for Ralph Mosienko a couple of weeks ago just to get the kick away. The Indianapolis Colts will take over. Jeff George, the rookie quarterback, grew up here in Indianapolis, then started his college career at Purdue, transferred to Illinois, came out after his junior year, #1 pick in the draft. Albert Bentley is the sole back in this set as they begin with 4 wide receivers, and George throws into no man's land. Incomplete, intended for Jesse Hester, surrounded by a trio of Redskins as we take a look at the rest of the offense for Indianapolis. Dickerson and Bentley in the backfield. Hester and Brooks are the wideouts. Pat Beach, the tight end. Up front, Moss played very well last week. Got a game ball against the Jets. Dixon, Donaldson, a longtime Pro Bowler. Tomberlin, a rookie, and Baldinger, the right tackle. 2nd down and 10 from the 23. So now the Colts give the Redskins the 2-back look with split backs, and Dickerson exploits a big hole. Takes it out to the 32. He's a yard shy of a first down. The safety Brad Edwards makes the stop. It'll be 3rd and 1. Here's the Redskin defense now. Again, they've allowed just 2 touchdowns in their last 3 games. Mann and Williams, Grant and Stokes up front. Marcus Cook is hurt and inactive. Collins is the rookie linebacker. Gouveia had a touchdown on a fumble return last week. And Wilbur Marshall, the former Bear. Mayu having an excellent year. Green, as usual, going to the Pro Bowl. And Walton and Bowles are the safeties. 3rd and 1 Indy from the 32. Early first quarter, no score. And slicing for a first down is Bentley, who's able to move off the right side, take it out to the 33.5, and that's enough for a first. Ron Meyer, Dan mentioning at the beginning, the subject of so much speculation all year long. At one point in the to-be-fired derby, I suppose he was rated the favorite. Now he is not only not going to get fired, he'll be back next year, and they're even talking about a contract extension.
And you saw why. I mean, the man has a winning percentage here in Indianapolis. He had one as well when he was with New England. The guy's a proven winner in this league.
1st and 10 from the 34, and it's caught up at the 42-yard line by Jesse Hester. He's also a very eminently likable man, and that helps as well in dealings with the front office.
But he has done a good job. All the problems they had stirred up there, of course, is the general manager, Jim Irsay. And all the problems they had, if you were with us early in the year when Eric Dickerson was holding out, all of the problems they had when he came back. And, of course, the trades they made during the offseason. And it's a team that has predicated their future on young Jeff George, and now it looks as though they're going to let Ron Meyer continue with this young quarterback.
And firing a head coach at this stage of Jeff George's career would be the worst thing in the world for him. He needs as much continuity as he can get.
2nd and 2 up at the 42. Fake to Dickerson. Good play fake by George, freezing the backers, and then his throw is incomplete. Intended for Anthony Johnson, the rookie out of Notre Dame, and Darrell Green was right there with him. One reason that man winds up in the Pro Bowl every season.
Green was beaten, but again, he has that tremendous speed, and he was able to recover and provide the coverage. At this point, the receiver is wide open, and Green gets back.
Funny thing about Green, he's one of these guys, obviously with a tremendous reputation, and over the past couple of years they've really been throwing the other way. So statistically he doesn't come up with that many interceptions, but he's playing as well as ever. 3rd down and a short 2 from the 42. Here's Dickerson. He only gets to the 43. Let's see where they spot it. Grant makes the stop.
He needs a great spot.
He needs a terrific spot.
One I don't think he's going to get.
And if he doesn't get it, you're still a 6-8 football team might still consider going for it.
Well, it's going to be 4th and 1 from the 43-yard line.
These are the things that you have to be concerned about if you're a Washington Redskin. You're still alive, and ordinarily if they were in a playoff situation, I don't think that they would go for this, but they're going to go for it. And Joe Gibbs has got to be concerned about this all night long. What is a 6-8 team going to think? What are they going to do? What are their tactics going to be?
It's scary. I mean, you're right. This is, I think, even being 6-8, I guess it's a difficult choice to go for.
Unless they're just trying to draw them off, which they're not. Here's Dickerson, and it doesn't appear he got it.
That's in a 0-0 game, boy. It's tight.
Caldwell. Dickerson looked like he began his leap a little too early. Raven Caldwell was there to stop him, and he does not have it. Washington ball.
The Washington defense once again. Now, you touched on the 5 interceptions that this man threw against Chicago a couple of weeks ago. It was still the defense that kept pulling that game out for them until they finally won. And then they stopped the Colts on a 4th and short and give the Redskins great field position. Good defense.
8:05 left in the first quarter. But a big early gamble by Indianapolis backfires as the Redskins take over at the 43-yard line. 1st and 10. No score. 8:05 to go in the quarter. Ernest Biner picks up 3. And Dan, what about the risk-reward ratio of making a decision like Meyer made that early in the game there?
Well, the problem with it, Al, is that if you make 6 inches, your team does not get any sort of an emotional lift because you're supposed to be able to convert on a 4th and 6. But the problem is when you don't convert, it's really a devastating effect on your whole ball club. Now you begin a ball game demoralized, and it is demoralizing to turn it over at in your own end of the field by failing to convert a 4th and short.
Man, you saw on the bench Raven Caldwell was the guy who stops Dickerson.
The defensive play of the game so far. Great play by Caldwell.
2nd and 8. Here's Ernest Biner. Room to roam, seeks that first down, and gets pushed out by Taylor just prior to reaching the first down mark as Raleigh McKenzie helped lead the way.
Ernest Biner, who came on a few weeks ago and said, hey, I want to carry this ball a little more. He got his wishes, mainly because the big man, Gerald Riggs, went down with an injury, but he has, over the last 3 games, been tremendous. 149 yards a week ago, 3 consecutive games coming in tonight, over 100 yards, and he has been the reason this offense is back playing December football. You see the American flag there. All the NFL teams, of course, wearing that in support of our armed forces in the Middle East.
Rippin on a sneak on 3rd and 1. Should have it because they really needed, in effect, just a couple of inches to pick up the first down. Jerry Markbright takes a peek and signals first down, Redskins.
One of the interesting problems the Redskins might have is the fact that Gerald Riggs is ready to come back off IR, injured in that Eagle game November the 12th, and the Redskins were annihilated down in Philadelphia. 1 of 9 injuries, and their quarterback is also ready to come back. Stan Humphries also injured that night.
What, they have 2 moves left, the Redskins?
During the regular season.
Right.
On first down, here's Biner again. And the former Cleveland Brown, who was picked up in a draft day trade last year for Mike Oliphant in a deal that right now is heavily weighted in favor of the Redskins, picks up 6.
What did you see the move on that? That is so unlike Riggins, though. I mean, he is smaller, of course, but he is so quick. He still has the power of the big man coming out of the backfield, but he made a move back to the inside that a lot of smaller halfbacks would be delighted to have.
2nd and 5 from the 27. Scoreless first quarter. This is Biner's 6th carry, and he takes a couple of Colts for a ride, including Donnell Thompson, and is close to picking up a first down. 5:35 left in the first quarter. No score.
One of the other benefits with Biner in there is that you do not have to change personnel when you get in a pass situation. Ordinarily, the Redskins with Riggs in there would take Riggs out and they'd bring in Bryant on a pass situation. Biner's a good receiver. Coming into tonight, he had 29 receptions.
That's as close as it gets. One link. 3rd and a link coming up.
Well, I don't know. We've seen him down there in the past with a credit card sliding it through there to see him.
3rd and inches. Hoosier Dome, home for the Colts since '84 when they moved here from Baltimore. This is only the 2nd time the Redskins have played in this building. The other time in '84.
They used to meet annually when they were the Baltimore Colts and the Washington Redskins.
Sure. 3rd and calling an inch from the 23. Here's Biner. Gets the inch and about 7 yards as well behind a block by Jimmy Johnson.
I don't think they have to worry about the spot.
No.
Ron Meyer? Joe Gibbs football, though, isn't it? And it's what Ron Meyer feared the most when we talked with him this morning.
Yep, just the Redskins and their punishing style. 3 tight ends in a short yardage situation like this. There's Jimmy Johnson, number 88, one of those 3 tight ends in motion. It's all timing there, and then it's power. But you see, you have a mismatch there because he's coming in on Mike Pryor, a defensive back, and Johnson weighs 255 pounds.
On first down, here's Biner picking up about 6. Scott Radisick makes the tackle at the 10-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 4. 4:35 to play in the quarter. We've got a penalty marker down, our first of the game. No score. Jerry Markwright to tell us in a moment.
Number 63, offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Raleigh McKenzie.
McKenzie actually pulls that time out, leading that sweep.
1st and 20 coming up. Well, earlier today, Barry Sanders picked up 133 yards on the ground as Detroit beat Green Bay, eliminating the Packers from the playoffs. Raiders beat Minnesota 28-24. Minnesota is gone from the playoff picture. 1st and 20. They swing it back to Jimmy Johnson, and Johnson gets taken down at the 15-yard line after picking up 11.
Beautiful screen, and it did appear as if they were going to get a lot more out of it. Perhaps they would have had it been other than Jimmy Johnson carrying the football. It set up beautifully. The good fake over to the right side and back across the field to Jimmy Johnson.
The best part
from a year ago. Let's take a look on the wide end. Now watch this setup. It's to fake the block, make it look like it's going to be a drop back pass. See the lineman set up. Now they move out, and there is Johnson, and it sets up beautifully.
And the best part of it, watch who makes the tackle. Remember we talked about a mismatch? There's Mike Pryor. Had to take on Johnson in short yardage. That time had a chance to get him in the open field and took him down cleanly.
2nd and 9. The play clock down to 2. This is Reggie Dupard, who picks up 3. He takes it to the 12. Dupard, who used to play with New England. Washington cut him early this season, then brought him back. And he helps to spell Biner from time to time. And he played for Ron Meyer at SMU.
Redskins in the pass situation. They'll bring in Kelvin Bryant. We already told you he works good out of the backfield. They also on occasion will go to a tight end down in this area because usually on the outside Ricky Sanders and Gary Clark are going to draw the double coverage, and it leaves the open area over the middle.
3rd and 6 at the 12. 2:45 to go. First quarter with no score. That's Art Monk going in motion. Rippon under some heat, throws, touchdown. Great catch by Monk.
Nice. Beautifully thrown ball, too, by Rippon. He had to throw it almost perfectly because it wasn't that bad. Grant was right there running with Monk. And when you're down in the end zone, you got to play him tight and hope that maybe the quarterback is just a little erratic. That time it was Rippon right on the target.
So Meyer, after gambling on 4th down, watches the Redskins take over in Indianapolis territory. Watches Art Monk extend his consecutive game streak to 115, catching at least one pass. Chip Lohmiller's extra point is good, and with 2:35 to go in the opening quarter at Indianapolis, Art Monk and the Redskins lead at 7-0.
Rippon back, he's looking all the way to Monk. And again, Grant with pretty good coverage. He just could not have thrown the ball better. A little more of a lead, he would have been out of bounds. He throws it behind him a little bit, and it's deflected or intercepted. Nice pass by Rippon.
Redskins leading 7-0. 2:35 to go first quarter at Indianapolis. Chip Lohmiller's kickoff is a low one hopper. This is Clarence Verdun, who is bound for the Pro Bowl as a return specialist, bringing it back out to the 25-yard line. And Verdun and John Brandis have a couple of words after Kurt Gouveia makes the tackle.
Well, Clarence still remembers being bound from Washington to Indianapolis, and he wasn't thrilled when that happened.
Time still out on the field is Sidney Johnson, a cornerback by trade and a member of the Washington special teams, still gets attention because of this.
Looks as though when he comes down, it will look as though he hurts his leg. But what in effect happened, I do believe, is that he got hit right below the face mask on the chest, and then it came right up and caught him right on the chin. They're not even looking at the leg, which looked as though it might have been hyperextended, and he appears to be in.
Well, what's really scary there,
shape.
Frank, is that they've been moving both of his arms and his hands, trying to get him to move them, and I have not seen anything move since Sidney Johnson went down on the ground. This is a serious injury, at least in appearance at this point in time, but they have been grabbing his hands and moving them, trying to elicit some sort of a response from Johnson, and so far they've received none. This is scary.
And you notice they're not attempting to take the headgear off until they can get some kind of communication from him. But again, it did appear to us, we looked at it during the commercial, and we thought it was a serious leg injury. And when he came down, perhaps it hyperextended it, and then as we watched him attend to him, we realized it wasn't. Indeed, could be a very serious injury as they continue to look at Sidney Johnson.
So they continue to work on Johnson. 2:25 remaining in the first quarter in Indianapolis. Washington ahead 7-0. Well, they still work on Sidney Johnson, who is a fellow who went to the University of California at Berkeley and then signed with, and that's a good sign at least, is there.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I was
right.
hoping that he was moving his hand, but he signed with Kansas City initially in '88 and was waived and re-signed, and then went to Tampa Bay as a Plan B free agent in '89, and then made his way to Washington, and he's been playing a backup role at the corner, but a more important role for Washington on their special teams. And he is involved on the incident here on the run back with Darrell Green and all of his concerned teammates looking on.
As a player, you really shuffle these kind of injuries from the back of your mind. You've seen them before, and you've experienced them, hopefully not to yourself, but a lot of time your teammates, and you're successful in putting them out of your mind. And now every man down on that field right now is reliving a lot of past experiences and sympathizing with Johnson. Right there you see the blow to the chest. At that point in time, I think it's apparent that he is out on his feet as he goes down, and we have seen no movement whatsoever, and it would be silly and at the same time less than responsible for us to sit here and speculate as to what might be wrong. We can only hope and pray that he's fine.
And we'll return to Indianapolis in just a moment. If you're just joining us, Saturday Night Football from Indianapolis with Monday Christmas Eve. So we come to you on Saturday from the Hoosier Dome. Washington leads Indianapolis 7-0, and play has been out now for the better part of, I guess, 10 minutes or so because of the injury suffered by Sidney Johnson of the Washington Redskins. Member of their special teams, injured on kickoff coverage. And as they remove Sidney from the field, and the Redskins look on very anxiously, obviously, as soon as we have any word from downstairs, we will pass it along. As we mentioned, Johnson out of the University of California at Berkeley. He's from the Los Angeles area.
You know, as so often happens, Dan and Al, that was not even one of the more violent hits you see on special teams, on punt returns and kickoff returns. But again, at the tremendous speeds and the strength of these players, we slow it down. It doesn't look all that dramatic. Yeah. Where in effect at full speed it is violent, and if the body is in the wrong position when it makes the contact, you are in danger of serious injury. And certainly we hope this is not one, but it well could be, and we'll keep you informed.
So with a pall cast over the crowd here at the Hoosier Dome, play resumes. The Colts have the football at their own 25-yard line. 1st and 10. 2 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Redskins up 7-0 as Jeff George, under some heat, retreats. He gets a nice block as Caldwell gets picked up, and then it's incomplete, intended for Hester, who's covered by Mayu. 2nd and 10. Albert Bentley was the man who blocked Caldwell as Raven was blitzing and gave him time to get the pass off.
Boy, and you're right, Al. You spotted a tremendous block by Bentley. He's got a checkup. In other words, he is releasing on a pattern, but he has a blitz pickup responsibility. He has to check on his way out. That time he saw Caldwell coming and chopped him down, allowed George to throw this ball. But again, that's fine coverage by A.J. Johnson, getting a hand on the ball.
2nd and 10 from the 25-yard line. Here's Dickerson going absolutely nowhere. Kurt Govea, a 5-yard loss back at the 20.
Well, that is a handoff, Frank, I think, that takes place just too deep in the backfield. Every person in this stadium knew that that was going to be a delay to Dickerson. I mean, forget that.
It's also something they did successfully over and over against the Jets last week, and you got to believe that Gibbs and Richie Pettibone, the defensive coordinator of the Redskins, they are going to be looking at that. They were probably even yelling it along the line of scrimmage.
Man, it's tough to give a guy the ball 5 yards in the backfield when he's at a complete standstill.
3rd and 15 now with 4 wide receivers in this set. And George going deep against one-on-one coverage and incomplete, and is lucky it wasn't intercepted as A.J. Johnson had total position on Clarence Verdane, who didn't have a chance.
That's why A.J.'s a defensive back.
Jeff George just unleashed.
If he had better hands, he'd be a receiver.
George unleashed that thing about 60 yards. He didn't even take a step in. He just flipped the thing. And the great Speedy Verdun is the receiver, and Johnson right in his hands. He looked like he was the receiver.
Ron Stark will do the punting. He's going to the Pro Bowl. He's been remarkably consistent through his career, averaging around 44 yards per boot. This is a wobbly, shorter kick fielded by Joe Howard at the 40, and he brings it back into Colt territory, tackled at the 47-yard line. 40-yard kick, 13-yard run back with 1:22 to go in the quarter, and Washington up 7-0. Well, Christmas Day, enjoy it on Tuesday, and we'll also have football for you as well. 12 Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. The Kelly Tire Blue-Gray All-Star Football Classic from Montgomery, Alabama. Then to Hawaii, the Eagle Aloha Bowl. Good matchup this year. The Orangemen of Syracuse against the Wildcats of Arizona at 3:30 Eastern, Christmas Day. First down from the 47-yard line. Ernest Biner to the 40. Picks up 7. 2nd and 3. Pryor and Taylor in on the tackle.
Now, what do you think the name of that play is?
Here we go again.
I think maybe it's counter gap, maybe? You think that's it?
Well, you know what they call it? They call it 60 load.
Yeah, here they come. There's Big Jim Lachey out front, the Pro Bowl tackle, and I mean, Ernest Biner just takes that delay step, and sometimes for a running back, it's not that hard to follow those guys around.
And good running after they made the contact.
Biner
is so quick.
Biner's already carried 8 times for 39 yards, and on 2nd and 3, it is tipped in the air. It is intercepted at the 42-yard line by Keith Taylor. And the brother of the 49ers wide receiver, John Taylor, gives Indy a first down at the Washington 45.
He almost fair caught this. This is as close as you can come to fair catching an interception. The ball goes a good 30 feet up into the air after it's batted at the line.
That's the only way Monk was able to get back to it. Hit somebody in the helmet, and that's why it went so high.
Hits Dwayne Bickett right in the helmet.
Bickett is 6'5", and he came way up in the air, and it bounced right off his helmet. Look at it hang there. And here comes Monk.
A very, very alert play and a good hustle play by Art Monk. Taylor would have scored.
Colts at the Redskin 46. Half a minute to go in the quarter. Play clock is down to 2 to 1. And he can't get the timeout called before the delay of game penalty is to be assessed.
I think old Jeff might have just lost his tongue there for a minute.
Offense, 5 yards, first down.
When you see you're not going to get it, get out of there and at least get that thing called. Here's another look at it from the opposite side. It's Dwayne Bickett right in the face mask. Look how Taylor has to wait for the ball. And if Art Monk doesn't hustle back, that's just a walk into the end zone for Taylor. Good use of the head for Dwayne Bickett.
That's the way we drew it up.
Former Pro Bowler.
1st and 15 from the 49-yard line. George hits Bentley, who is their leading receiver. He breaks a tackle by Green and then is moved out of bounds by Gouveia. Albert Bentley came into this game leading the team in rushing and in receiving.
He plays with a lot of heart. He's not the size of Dickerson, but he's about 5'11". He goes about 215, and he plays much bigger than that. You saw a good example of it as he bounced off a Pro Bowler, Darrell Green, and got extra yardage.
2nd and 6. Certainly one of the reasons he leads in rushing is because Dickerson, you'll recall, was suspended for the first 6 games of the season. George throws. Here's Bentley making the catch at the 41-yard line and wrapped up by the veteran Monty Coleman. And time has expired. First quarter is over in Indy. 7-0 Redskins. Back we come after this commercial message and a word from our ABC stations. Second quarter begins. Eric Dickerson gets the carry on a 2nd and 1 play, stopped by Kurt Gouveia at the 39-yard line with the score 7-0 Washington. And again, as we mentioned at the outset, Redskins have already clinched a spot in the playoffs, but want to maintain that advantage for home field. Indianapolis needs a major miracle. And
a whole bunch of people to lose. And again, if you're wondering about it, we still have heard nothing about Sidney Johnson. We certainly will tell you as quickly as we can.
Yeah, I think the miracle for Indianapolis, what is it? Pittsburgh has to lose both their remaining games.
Right.
Seattle has to lose both, and Cincinnati has to lose both. Plus, Indianapolis has to win both of their final games.
Actually, it's not that bad. Cincinnati could tie one, and Seattle could tie one and lose the other, and they could still get in.
You know, I think the Redskins really want to take this one tonight and then next week, because we were there for that Philadelphia mugging on November the 12th when Philadelphia beat the Redskins 28-14. But that wasn't the score. It was the way they did it in Philadelphia. And I don't think the Redskins want to go back there again.
First down, Indianapolis at the 32-yard line. And Jeff George hits Dickerson. Dickerson runs into his own blockers, but then bounces off them. Takes it to the 26-yard line as Gouveia makes the tackle. And believe it or not, that is now the official end of the first quarter. After it apparently had ended earlier, there must be a problem with the clock. The clock was down to zeros, and they just kept on playing after the commercial. There was a penalty, but there were 2 plays after the clock showed zip, zip, zip. So for whatever reason, they have finally ended the first quarter. Officially, sort of, kind of. We think, we hope, possibly, maybe. Back to start the second quarter officially. Here's the report on Sidney Johnson. Not conscious, but he does respond to the squeeze of his hand. He has been taken to a local hospital for x-rays and a CAT scan. That's the initial report, and we'll stay on top of it for you. Sidney Johnson of Washington. Second down and 4 for the Colts as Jeff George throws incomplete into the end zone, but here's a flag on a pass intended for Clarence Verdun.
Mayhew was running with Verdun, and Mayhew pulled up and Verdun ran right into him. The flag came down, and this could go either way.
Pass interference, number 28, defense. First down.
Darrell Green.
Darrell Green had come across and picked up Verdun, and man-for-man coverage. And the collision down around the 5-yard line is going to go as offensive interference.
Well, I don't see where Darrell Green was anywhere near the play.
Yeah, you know what? I think he said 28. I think he meant
23.
Bowles. Todd Bowles, yeah. Mark Wright said 28. He meant 23.
But actually, Frank, I think you were right the first time. I think it was Martin Mayhew that made the contact.
First and goal from the 8. Skins ahead 7-0, and there's another flag on a pass intended for Hester, and Mayhew involved in this one as well.
Now this is thrown into the line of scrimmage.
Wilbur Marshall and Pat Beach got locked up. It could be on Beach or Marshall.
Defense.
Yeah,
5 yards left the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Wilbur Marshall. You talk about holding a tight end and keeping him from releasing. All right, here's the last play. Now take a look at the top of your screen. There is a break into the end zone, and there is a hit. Mayhew, though, not penalized. The penalty is at the bottom of your screen. That's where Wilbur Marshall was holding Pat Beach, the tight end.
As Al mentioned earlier, Mayhew is attracting a crowd tonight. They tend to go away from Darrell Green, and they have been working against Mayhew whenever they can.
First and goal at the 4. Washington ahead 7-0 early in the second quarter. Eric Dickerson swings to the outside. Nifty move for a touchdown. Eric Dickerson with the 90th touchdown of his illustrious career.
I'll tell you something, there are a whole lot of backs who wouldn't have got that one in. He still has got the slithery moves. He's got the power, the quick acceleration. This one designed to go right off tackle. He reads it, takes it to the outside, now breaks it back inside. And no way that Darrell Green is going to take him down short of 6.
Boy, what a fine lead block he got from Anthony Johnson, the rookie out of Notre Dame. He crushed a guy up in front of Dickerson.
Dean Biasucci to kick out of the hold of Ron Stark. And just seconds into the second quarter, we're tied 7-7.
That was the hole, and Bowles was in the hole. He breaks it to the outside, gives it to the look to the outside, gets the good block from Johnson, pops it into the end zone. Fine running.
NFL record most touchdowns. The great Jim Brown scored 126 in his career. That's number 90 for Dickerson, the 14th player with 90 or more. Dean Biasucci to kick off. Opening moments of the second quarter. Game tied 7-7. Good deep kick. Joe Howard 8 yards in, and he's not going to come out, and Washington will take over at the 20-yard line. Well, next Monday night, a week from this Monday night, is New Year's Eve, and we do have football for you. So at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, as you're getting dressed to go out, It will be the Rams against the Saints from the Superdome in New Orleans. And New Orleans are hopeful of still being alive for a playoff berth.
And so are we hopeful
Yes.
that New Orleans is alive for a playoff berth.
But there's no rooting in the press box, right? First down from the 20-yard line. Ernest Biner close to a first down. Biner last week typifying the term workhorse. 39 carries against New England.
Yeah, but under just the most favorable of playing conditions.
A hockey rink.
Some great moves. When was it? 1985. He had the last 1,000-yard season with the Cleveland Browns, and of course that celebrated trade a couple of years ago for Mike Oliphant, and right now he is the offense for the Redskins.
Last week 39 carries on the rain-slicked turf, AstroTurf in New England.
You know, watching that game when was that, last Saturday? It reminded me of that same New England field, Frank, when Joe Washington in his silver shoes on a Monday night game was flying around that field. The lights hit that field at a very, very abstract angle to make it look like a mirror. I mean, it looked like a sheet of glass down there.
He had about 275 yards. I finally met him the other night. We talked about that game, but he had about 275 yards, ran a kickoff back, caught a touchdown pass, threw a touchdown pass, and you're right, in that kind of a setting, it was bizarre.
Biner, after picking up the first down, has carried 10 times for 50 yards. Rippon checks off at the line, then throws complete to Gary Clark, and Clark out to the 43 for a first down for a 1/3 of the posse as Alan Grant makes the tackle.
Good move by Clark, too, because he knew exactly where he was. He had to put the head down and get the first down. Ordinarily, he would have skipped around, might have even taken a couple of yards lost to try and turn it into a big play, but very wise move. He turned it upfield, put the head down, and got the first. He's one of the great receivers in this game.
Clark, Sanders, and Monk, known as the posse. First down from the 43-yard line, and that one is behind Gary Clark, who is cutting over the middle. It'll be 2nd and 10. Joe Gibbs. Well, you know, Dan, you played under Joe Gibbs, who was an assistant coach for the Cardinals at one point. Did you ever think he'd be what he turned out to be?
Well, our offensive staff, when Don Coryell first came to St. Louis in 1973, was Joe Gibbs in charge of the running backs. Jim Hannafin was in charge of the offensive line, and Rod Dahauer, former head coach of the Colts, was the quarterback coach. And you're right, Joe Gibbs was not the one of the group that at the time we would have pegged as the guy who's going to be a legend, and he is.
Here's Biner out to the 45. You know, when you look at Gibbs, if you send out the central casting for a head coach, he's not the guy who comes back. But then again, if you sent out the central casting, I'm not sure they'd send you Tom Hanks to play Sherman McCoy either, but that's another story.
You're right.
But the second part of that statement was even more accurate.
Well, what's interesting is here all three of these guys start out as coaches on the professional level under Coryell. Coryell has since retired, and Gibbs has both Hannafin and Dahauer on his staff. I mean, it's...
How about Bruce Willis playing the writer?
No, he's not on the staff.
You would have cast that out.
Right. Donnell Thompson comes crashing across the line.
Save this for the second half.
Right.
You're right.
Encroachment foul. Number 99, defense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Donnell Thompson. Way offside.
Yep. Offsides and a half.
Yep. He's got some paint on his helmet already. Keith Jackson, and if he's watching in L.A., that'd make him happy. He likes to see the old bonnet get a little war paint on it.
Oh, yeah.
Busy with the round balls this afternoon.
Ooh, the big ugly.
Oh, yeah. In the trenches. 3rd and 4 from the 49-yard line. Rippon has it dropped by Kelvin Bryant.
Put him in a terrible spot. Kelvin, usually sure-handed. We've already talked about how they use him so much as a receiver. Of course, going back to the great days of USFL. Philadelphia with the Stars, and that one Rippon couldn't have thrown it any better. Perhaps he could have had it out in front of him a little bit, but he was just making certain of it, and it looked like that might have been deflected a little bit. There's the answer to that one.
Kelly Goodburn to punt. Verdun calls for and makes the fair catch.
That's a good play by Verdun.
And that's one reason he's going to the Pro Bowl.
Just saved your team a bunch of yardage there, Clarence. You don't field that ball, and that might get downed inside the 5-yard line. A risky play. The good guys will try to do it, but boy, how you help out your team. They're on the 16 rather than maybe the 6. Big 10 yards.
Colts and Redskins tied 7-7. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf in Indianapolis. Colts 1st and 10 at the 17-yard line. Jeff George hits Bentley to the 25. He picks up 8. It'll be 2nd and 2. Gouveia makes the tackle. Interesting costumes in the crowd tonight.
Oh, can Tom Arnold be far behind? I thought she worked on Tuesday nights. What was that?
I think we'd have to check the tattoo to make sure.
Does that count as a primetime promo?
Yep, that sure does.
Oh, were you looking at the guy with the feathers? I thought you were.
2nd and 2 for the Colts at the 25-yard line. And it's Bentley for the first down. Out to the 36-yard line. Williams and Mayu make the stop, and we've got a penalty marker down back at the 23.
What a great hustle that time by Eric Williams, a defensive tackle who comes all the way out towards the sideline to tackle Bentley.
Holding number 68, offense, 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's Eric Williams, the former Detroit Lion. Great hustle for a former nose tackle, now a defensive tackle. Watch him come from inside. He reads the screen right there, and a lot of times the big guys like to throw the old reins to the trailer and pull her in, but boy, that's fabulous hustle. Doesn't matter very much though. Pat Tomberlin was called for holding, and he's been called lots of things.
Yes, he has a few things beside Tomberlin recently. Back at the 15, it is 2nd and 12. 10:49 to go in the half. Jeff George escapes pressure, then hits Hester. There's also a flag down back in the end zone. That's Wilbur Marshall, who walks away at first sort of sheepishly. He knows he's going to be called for the penalty.
He tagged George a little late, but a good effort on the part of the rookie to get away from a full-blown blitz on the part of the Redskins. They don't do it that often. They brought everybody, and he slipped out of the grasp of one tackler and was able to get that ball upfield.
Necessary roughness, number 58.
Let's watch him again. Outside linebacker gets away from Bentley there. Now George gets rid of the football after avoiding the sack, and Wilbur just a little too rough on the quarterback, and they call that so close now. This would have been a joke a few years ago, but you better leave him alone now.
I wouldn't have called that. Well, I mean, what did he really do to Jeff George? I mean, first of all,
up on it,
he's in the air. He's in the air when Jeff throws the ball right there. I mean, Wilbur's in the air, and he doesn't. I mean, he just rides him down to the ground. Now, he had his hands up on his head, but he didn't slam his head into the turf or anything. I wouldn't have thrown that flag.
It's a first down for Indy at the 30. Here's Dickerson, who was able to escape Coleman at first and then gets tackled by Gouveia. And we've got another flag down.
Might have been a face mask in there. Somebody saw Dickerson's head spin around. You get it when you get a lot of this when the back cuts back against the grain, because they usually overrun the tackle and they reach in there and they're embarrassed to miss the tackle and they grab the face mask.
Well, a couple penalties have certainly aided Indianapolis offensively.
51, defense,
See,
5-yard penalty.
he cuts back and Coleman just can't resist. Just a little grab, and that's the penalty.
You know, I did not play on the defensive side of the ball, but face masking is something that I'm surprised you don't see more often. I mean, when you're diving at a ball carrier and he's moving at the same time you're trying to grab him, he's going up and down, his head's in one place, then it's in another. I'm surprised you don't see it more often. Only 1 out of 20, which I think is intentional.
1st and 5 from the 35-yard line. George sets up an ill-advised screen. There was nary an eligible receiver in the area.
And a whole lot of pressure on Jeff George. Bentley and Dickerson both were caught up in the middle. I don't know who was supposed to come out. But again, Fred Stokes applying the pressure on George from the outside. Dickerson steps up from the middle and looks like he's trying to get out, and he probably was held up in the middle. And George just dumped it off.
See, now there goes an incomplete pass for the rookie quarterback, and that was not his fault. You've got to chop down that end to the side of the screen, or the quarterback has little chance of completing it. A priority for the Colts next year will be some good offensive linemen. They've got a couple. They need more.
2nd and 5, and the pass is a great catch at the 43-yard line by Stanley Morgan, the longtime New England veteran who won a job in training camp with Indianapolis. Great play.
Oh, and you saw a veteran play on the part of Morgan. He was looking back at the quarterback. Johnson, who was covering man for man on the blitz, didn't realize that ball was even in the air. Now Johnson is looking at Morgan. Morgan is still looking back as though the ball isn't. Now all of a sudden he puts the hands up. Johnson has no chance. Great play by Stanley Morgan.
And we may have a review of this one, and we will, when the umpire waves his arms and consults with the referee, as is the case here. Mark Wright talking it over with George. The replay official Bob Beeks is looking at this as well.
Does he come down with both in bounds? Here's one. There's another one, and he is not bobbling the football, so that's the end of that. Look, see,
2 feet and a shoulder. Yeah, I think he was in.
Oh, they love this guy, though.
I think Bob is saying let the games continue.
Yes. But for some reason, Mark Wright is saying not yet. .9:36 to go in the first half. 7-7 the score. I think they're looking at the play clock.
Put 15 seconds back on the play clock.
Yeah.
15 seconds. No, a total of 15 seconds on the play clock.
In other words, he wants 9 seconds on the play clock. While they figure this out, we'll tell you at halftime we have a look at some very interesting sounds of the NFL that have taken place this past season. Some of the emotional displays of coaches and players. I think you'll enjoy it.
How can there be a question about the play clock when it's being reviewed? You get the full time.
This is, you see, this is one of the big problems with replay. You know, I'm a proponent of replay. I'd like to see them keep it, but here's where a lot of the problems are in the implementation of it, and when you got to screw around with things like this. Meanwhile, well, they never put 15 up on it. They just set it at 25 and then start ticking it down. And here we go on 1st and 10. As George throws, Morgan is wide open. Touchdown.
And right about now, Joe Gibbs begins to look at his baseball cap to see if his hair is falling out.
Well, he took a shot of A.J. Johnson, but Todd Bowles was scrambling to get back into that play. It's hard to tell what kind of a defense they were in. There's no way for us to sit up here and say it was Bowles or it was Johnson, but he was open, and this youngster, wow, can he throw that football? Take a look again. He sets up. He has all the time, no pressure, and he fires, and Morgan is wide open. He had taken it into the middle and then broke it back out to the outside, and Bowles tries to get back in. It's hard to say who was the principal defender responsible.
Dean Biasucci for the point after. And so the man they used to call Stanley Steamer catches a 23-yard pass and then follows that up with a 42-yard pass. 65 total, and Indy has the lead. 9:37 to go in the half. Indianapolis 14, Washington 7. Colts ahead 14-7. Dean Biasucci's kickoff taken at the 4 by Joe Coward. Brings it back out to the 20-yard line with 9 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the first half. It's Larry Kennedy, offensive coordinator of the Colts, sitting down next to Jeff George.
And there is perhaps the today and the future for these Colts, and the future is turned into the present because this is what Joe Gibbs most certainly was worried about Richie Pettibone before the game. He said that youngster is going to be a great quarterback. He's got a tremendous release. He reminds me of Marino. He can flip the ball and throw it 50 or 60 in the air, and we just saw it.
Mark Rippon on first down gives the ball to Ernest Biner, threads his way through what was no hole at all and picks up 13. Stopped by Dwayne Bickett.
Again, the quickness of Biner. Just ducked right under a would-be tackler and had a couple of extra yards out of him. Now watch how he moves through the hole. He accelerates behind, great blocking behind the big man. Now watch this move to the right. Plants that right foot, cuts it back, and causes that safety man to miss totally. Watch once again. It's worth looking at. Boom. And Pryor, no way he can make that tackle.
From the 32-yard line, Biner again. Up to the 40-yard line. You think back to Biner, he came out of East Carolina. Browns drafted him a low-round choice in '84, 10th round, in fact. He and Kevin Mack each gained over 1,000 yards in the Browns' backfield in '85. And let's face it, you know, the Browns can deny it, but Biner had the misfortune of fumbling at a most critical time in the '87 playoff game against Denver. And a couple of years later, off he went in the trade.
I guess in Cleveland, still referred to as the fumble. I mean, Ernest Biner, he was too good a player, Al, over too many years to really have received the amount of almost obscene criticism that he received in Cleveland. I mean,
particularly when the chips were down too, Dan. The play of his remarkable record in playoff competition. There it is right there.
Yeah, it was too much. It wasn't justified by one fumble.
He has dealt with it rather well too. He dealt with it well at Cleveland, and then all of a sudden he is on the verge of maybe his greatest season ever.
3rd and 1 from the 41-yard line. Flag is down, and Rippon's going to air it out, and it's incomplete, intended for the tight end Jimmy Johnson. So they tried to fool Indy on a 3rd and short, and we'll see about the penalty. And it's going to be against Indianapolis for offside, so that'll give him a first down. But on the subject of Biner, what people forget.
Offside, number 51, defense, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Chip Banks. The Browns never would have been close to winning that game were it not for the sensational day that Biner had up until that ill-fated moment.
And I don't mean to target just Cleveland fans, because I think the response that they showed would have been shown in a lot of cities, because sports generates that kind of passion.
Absolutely. From the 46-yard line, Rippon, and that's off the fingertips of Ricky Sanders, who was covered by 3 Colts.
That was a great call and a great pass. Caught the Colts in their zone, and that's not difficult because they stay primarily in it. But wide open was Sanders, and a beautifully thrown ball by Rippon. Now watch this ball. First of all, he has all the protection in the world. Right of your screen is Sanders in between 3 defenders in dead stride.
Well, Ricky Sanders thinks that he's going to get hit by a free safety, and he develops a serious case of short arms. I mean, that's all there is to it. He was afraid of getting hit, and he dropped the football.
2nd and 10 from the 46-yard line. The screen is set up for Biner, who has good blocking into Colt territory. A first down and out of bounds at the 36-yard line.
Again, pretty running by Biner, and perhaps they might think about giving him a little bit of a breather. He's going to take himself out for a moment. He's in great physical condition, and this is one of the things that they'll tell you about Biner. He knows when he needs to come out and get a little bit of a breather. But watch the running here again. He uses the blockers on the screen. He doesn't run by them. He sets them up for them. They make the block, and he gets all the back is going to get out of this screen.
I mean, do you really agree with that? A back taking himself out of the game because he's tired?
In his case, yes. And they will tell you that he goes with 100%, and when you're carrying that ball as often as he is, why not?
That's Don Warren, who did the juggling act and is lucky that he did not have that one intercepted off the deflection. 2nd and 10.
Lucky that thing wasn't intercepted the way that ball popped up in the air.
pressure on Rippon and behind Warren, and almost a great effort.
Almost.
But back to Biner on that, Al and Dan. I'm sure that Joe Gibbs has told him that, so we just go with it. And whenever you want to come out and get a breather, you got it.
He's out right now as Reggie Dupart is the sole running back in this set. On 2nd and 10, Sanders comes in motion. And here's Dupart with a big hole, but it closes quickly as he reaches the 33-yard line, and he's shoved back by Michael Ball. Michael Ball, who plays in their nickel and dime setups.
Now for the Skins, will get Kelvin Bryant as they work themselves into the pass situation.
3rd down and 7. 6 minutes 8 seconds left in the half. Indianapolis leads Washington 14-7 as Biner takes a rest. Warren in motion. Rippon throws a wobbly pass. Monk can't handle it at the 18. That may have been tipped. That ball looked like it was tipped.
I think Michael Ball got a hand on it. Looked like Michael Ball, one of the safeties, got a hand on the ball. He was right at the line of scrimmage, and I saw him jump.
Ball fluttered as it came out of the hand of Rippon.
Check it right here. Yep, you can see the course of the ball was altered right there, just grazing the thumb.
It just takes a millisecond off the timing, but just enough to allow the defender to get back into it.
Here's a 50-yard field goal attempt by Chip Lohmiller.
Oh, yeah.
And the kick is close and winds up hitting the upright.
That would have been good for 60, even though he catches the upright.
Plenty of distance, but it hits the outside of the upright.
I mean, every time you watch a soccer-style kicker hit the ball like that, you always see it hook. You always see it move right to left. And this time, Lohmiller starts it just a little bit outside the upright. You know he's planning for that hook to come back in, and he hits it perfectly straight.
Dan, when you talk to them every now and then, they'll tell you, how did you miss? They'll say it went straight.
That's every time, you know, every time you play the old slice, you know, you just hit it into the woods on the left.
Oh.
I think that's what Lohmiller did. He played a little hook and didn't get it.
Just turn that right hand over a little bit.
It's not a doink if it hits just the outside of the upright, is it?
No, it's just it's a doy.
Okay. Or an oink. 1st and 10 from the 32. The pass is caught by Hester. Tackled by Bowles at the Redskin 48. 19-yard gain.
Well, this is where Joe Gibbs and the Redskin coaching staff, and right now especially defensive coordinator Richie Pettibone, they are starting to tighten up a little bit, because this is a nightmare. You're already trailing by 7 points, and you have a quarterback whose talent is limitless, who's getting more and more confidence as this game goes on.
1st down from the 48-yard line. And good coverage. In fact, Stanley Morgan thought it was too good. A.J. Johnson had his arms around him, but very legal, according to the officials.
That has got to be perfect to avoid the flag, and apparently a rule that it was perfect. There's Johnson, 47. Morgan hooks up, works back to the ball, and on any other occasion, I think, or many other occasions, that would draw a flag.
How about when he grabbed his jersey when Morgan tried to make his break back to the inside?
That's called wardrobe.
Yep. Well, A.J. got away with one.
2nd and 10 at the Redskin 48-yard line. Blitz, big pressure, and down he goes at the 47-yard line. Andre Collins, the rookie out of Penn State, he was their top pick in the draft. They didn't have a first-rounder last year, so he was a second-round selection, and he gets credit for the sack.
That's the first time tonight the Colts have not been able to pick up that blitz on the part of the Redskins, and there also was good coverage by the secondary downfield. George knew the blitz was coming, but he could not find a receiver to uncover.
At the 47-yard line, 3rd and 15. Colts up by 7, 4:30 to go in the half. George out of the shotgun. 5-man Washington rush, and back Down at the 35, a flag comes in after the play, after George gets sacked. Tim Johnson.
I'll tell you, Tim Johnson gave him a nudge with his leg. It wasn't severe, but again, we know already tonight how they are calling any action against a quarterback. Maybe it was I don't know what they're going to rule it, but they're going to call it against Johnson, I think. And this is going to work into a first down for Indianapolis. '78 is Tim Johnson. The play is over. He comes in a little late. And then, well, he roughhouses a little bit and draws the flag.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness on number 78, defense.
I think that's more the hit than the last effort.
Well, I think the description of the crime fits the crime. Unnecessary roughness. I mean,
Exactly.
that was unnecessary roughness.
Well,
You got to be better disciplined than that.
that penalty took Indianapolis from a 4th and 27 to a 1st and 10.
Yeah.
Already 82 yards in penalties assessed against the Skins. First down, Indy at the 49. Inside handoff to Dickerson. Swings to the outside. Gets by Walton. Tackled at the 43-yard line by Martin Mayhew. Gain of 6.
Boy, when in doubt, Frank, there's no question where Eric Dickerson is going to head with the football. I mean, when he has someone who even outflanks him, he will still get around him and turn it upfield.
He still has a great speed.
Remarkable speed.
9,300 speed coming out of SMU, and he hasn't lost that much of it.
Dickerson 6 carries tonight for 16 yards. 2nd and 3 from the 42-yard line. Here's his 7th carry of the night. A flag comes in. He's very close to a first down, pending the penalty. Raven Caldwell makes the tackle. Holding against Indy. Back it comes.
Holding number 62, offense. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Brian Baldinger, the right tackle, was down blocking. You'll see him come from the right of your screen down on Charles Mann. He's got good position, but then you see he's got that left arm wrapping him up. He had the right hand grabbing a little jersey, and Mann forced a stalemate. And as far as a defensive lineman is concerned, that's winning the battle.
2nd and 13. Colts from their own 48. Blitz. George throws under pressure and just throws it away. Nobody really in the neighborhood.
And good coverage on the part of the Skins secondary, and of course George, who is not going to give any run for the money for Randall Cunningham moving around back there. He's not the most athletic creature you've seen back there, but he was able to get away from the blitz and
Tell that to Charles Mann. Watch him whiff. He's going to whiff on Jeff George. He looks like Randall to Charles Mann. But your assessment is exactly right, Frank. Which is all the more embarrassing to Mann.
3rd down, 13. Indy from the 48. 2:50 to go in the half. Colts ahead 14-7. Redskins showing blitz, and here they come. And Jeff George gets whacked at the 38-yard line by Monty Coleman, who's in his 12th year and looks like he's about 21 years old on that play.
they came up with 2 backers in the gap either side of the center. One of them had to be clear. And Monty Coleman is one of the quickest defensive backs around. Still, even though he's been around a long time, nobody even touches him.
Well, the Colts that time are going to attempt a screen to their right. That is just a good call by Richie Pettibone. No way the Colts could block that.
Ron Stark. Good high kick. Fielded at the 12-yard line. Joe Howard. Back to the 23, and another marker is down back at the 16-yard line.
Colts indicating it's going to go against the Redskins.
Monty's saying, why can't we call that more often?
Monty has done a lot of things for these Skins over the 12 years. Good athlete in on pass
Illegal
defense.
block, number 40, on the return. Half the distance, first down.
Alvin Walton. It backs them up. 2:18 to go in the half. Redskins have all of their timeouts, and they begin at the 8-yard line. Take a look at Walton here.
On the right side. You could just see the left hand on the back of Pat Vanderbeek.
Don Warren goes in motion. Rippon under a lot of heat, tipped and incomplete. Colts came charging through, and big Sam Clancy, the one-time basketball player, was the guy who blocked that shot.
Well, remember what I said when the Colts tried to run a screen? To be successful, you have to chop down that defensive end to the side of the screen. You must get his hands out of that, not only the line of sight, but the passing lane of the quarterback. And here's a good look where Clancy, the end of that side, wasn't removed from the play. And how is Rippon supposed to complete that pass?
Clancy's also 6'7".
Second down, 10. Biner out to the 15-yard line, and that might take us to the 2-minute warning if nobody stops the clock. A 3rd and 3, unless we have come to the 2-minute warning at the Hoosier Dome. Colts still ahead of the Skins by 7. Here's a reminder, coming up next Saturday, a week from today, 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 in the morning Pacific, the Peach Bowl from Atlanta, Indiana, heading to the capital of Georgia to take on the Tigers of Auburn. Then college basketball follows that. 4 Eastern time, Dean Smith's North Carolina Tar Heels against DePaul. College basketball on ABC. 3rd and 3 as the half winds down. 2 minutes to go from the 15-yard line. Mark Rippon hits Kelvin Bryant at the 20-yard line, and that's enough for a first down to keep the drive alive. Alan Grant with the coverage, and as the precious seconds tick away. What in the...
Oh, nice.
Now, wait a second. Frank, who is your barber?
That's Hank Stram there on the left.
Frank, who is his barber? What do you think? Hank Stram on the left. Oh, this is a Saturday night special, all right.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. They're going to take a Saturday night special to us pretty soon. First down from the 20. Incomplete, intended for Art Monk. Well, I tell you, we have great news about Sidney Johnson, who was shaken up before. They now tell us he is fully awake, no abnormalities. They're obviously going to keep him in the hospital for observation overnight, but that is the greatest news we never expected. I got to tell you.
Best news of this football game.
Outstanding.
I'll tell you how we were worried.
2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. Rippon sets up the screen to Bryant. And Bryant, with some nifty moves, gets to the 32, and that's a first down. And we'll see if the Skins take a timeout here. They have all of them remaining. Up they come to the line of scrimmage, conserving the timeouts. 1st and 10 from the 32. Here's Bryant on a screen again. Back of 2 linemen. Takes it out to the 42-yard line, and he should have a first down. And does at the 42-yard line. And the Redskins now will take their first timeout. But there was a penalty on the play. Indianapolis was offside, according to Mark Bright. It is declined. It's a first down for Washington.
Now they can save that timeout. They'll be up there ready to snap the ball when they start the clock.
First down from the 42. Here's Bryant again. And Bryant, with a little straight arm, picks up the first down. He pushed Alan Grant that away.
Oh, now Alan Grant is going to hate to look at the tapes of this. Think they might get on him a little bit?
No, I don't. Players don't get on one another. Well, what a great stiff arm by Kelvin Bryant. Grant played it properly. He had to contain. He's the corner of that side. He's there to make the tackle. And Kelvin Bryant, get away, young man. Get away. Nice.
1st and 10 at the 46. Bryant's longest run of the year on that last play. Rippon throws, and behind the intended receiver Gary Clark. Clark had sprung free for what would have been about a 15-yard gain, and Rippon's pass was errant. 2nd down.
Rippon got hit again just as he delivered the ball. Probably had to turn loose of it a little sooner than he wanted to. You see him going down. Hit there and dropped.
Well, that's an easy completion if it's a good throw from Rippon. That was a poor pass by Mark Rippon, way behind Gary Clark, who I thought turned in a darn good effort just to get 2 hands on the football.
2nd down and 10 from the 46-yard line. Rippon throws. Art Monk on the far side. Yes, makes the catch at the 36-yard line. And leave it to Art Monk to know exactly how far he has to get for the 1st down.
And Rippon comes right back with a good pass. Big and strong. He was able to get it all the way to the sideline, the opposite side of the field. And Monk, who has been around, one of the great ones of all time, heading for Canton, Ohio, knew exactly where he had to be. And finally controlled it. Bobbled it for a moment, but he had control of it when he went out of bounds.
1st down, Redskins at the 36. Indy leads by 7. A minute remaining in the half, and the Redskins with all 3 timeouts left. Skins pick up the blitz. Rippon goes deep. Flag down. Clark can't make the catch inside the 5. Marker down at the line of scrimmage. Clancy that time blitzing and forcing the early Rippon throw.
Flag on the play.
Going to go against Washington.
Offside. Number 84, offense, lined up in the neutral zone. Penalty declined. 2nd down.
Oh. Gary Clark, who was at the top of the formation, a good 50 feet from the football, lines up offsides. There's Gary Clark there at the top and left of your screen, and boy, that's just a silly error.
Yep. Indy declines the penalty. Take the play. 2nd and 10 at the 36-yard line. Sanders goes in motion. Rippon throws, and that one is incomplete and off Gary Clark's hands and shoulder pads.
Oh, and Rippon had that in there again. Rippon got hit just as he released the ball. And coming in there, John Hand, who was back from a 3-week absence with an injury, but that was a ball that Clark knows he should have handled. Yeah, I'd do that too.
Well, there is nothing to not like about Gary Clark, and this is uncharacteristic to say the least. I mean, that's a beautiful pass by Rippon. We criticize him for throwing the one behind Clark. That time he threw it perfectly, and Gary didn't respond.
3rd down and 10. Rippon going deep for Ricky Sanders, and incomplete, underthrown, and that enabled Chris Good to get back there and break it up.
Did that ball hit Sanders on the back?
Poorly thrown ball by Rippon, who's got a much stronger arm in this. It was way underthrown. Here comes Sanders. Tied up with Good. Sanders trying to come back underneath, and it.
Oh, I guess it hit Good on the hand.
Good on the arm.
Here is a 53-yard field goal attempt by Lohmiller, and he has the distance and the accuracy, and that one would have been good from close to 60. Whew. He's the kind of, it's a funny thing, you know, you look at him, he's a big guy, 6'3", and you think he would kick field goals like that regularly, but he hasn't.
Well, he also kicks outdoors at RFK Stadium. There's a big difference. There's no wind, of course, here, and the ball always sets the same way. I was watching him tonight. He was hitting that ball 55 and 60 as he warmed up.
How much
You're right. He hasn't had a whole lot of long field goals in his career.
How much you want to bet that when the schedule is released every spring, the first thing the kicker does is look for stadiums, look for games in domes. I mean, he scans that thing. Are we in Detroit? Are we in Indianapolis? Are we in Minneapolis?
Late games in Buffalo and Giants Stadium. Yep. And that swirling wind is there.
Send me to the Superdome anytime.
Lohmiller this year was 1 for 6 prior to that for more than 50. He kicked a 55-yarder against Dallas. The 55-yarder was the longest of his career, and that was number 2 right there. 37 seconds to play in the half. It's now 14-10 Indy. Lohmiller.
Oh, he beat that one, didn't he?
Yeah. 3 yards into the end zone, down by Verdun. Indy has it at the 20.
And he hung it up so high. No way Verdun could bring it out.
So we have 37 seconds to play. The sights and sounds of football. Part of our.
It's kind of fun. I think you'll enjoy it.
Sights and sounds of the season.
We try to explain to you sometimes how noisy it is down there. We get you in as close as we can with technology we have, and this time NFL Films and some of their people have captured some fun moments, some exciting moments, and maybe you get an idea of how hard hitting it really is down there.
Leave it to Steve Sable and the gang to compile it. From the 20, 1st and 10 for Indy is a little floater. Eric Dickerson was a kind of the intended receiver, and his good pal Ray Donaldson was right next to him.
I can take just a moment. I talked for a long time yesterday with Pat Summerall, a colleague, former colleague of yours, Dan, and he had just come home from the hospital. He's doing fine. He was in very serious condition from a bleeding ulcer, and you haven't been keeping up to speed on it. He is doing just fine. He's home, and I know he'd like to wish everyone a very happy Christmas. Pat Summerall, he's a stayer. He'll be around. He's tough.
Yes, sir. We're thinking of you, Pat.
Yep. A speedy recovery. He'll be back for the playoffs. Fear not.
2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line. Here is Dickerson. And Dickerson gets taken down by Walton on a hellacious hit up at the 28-yard line. And Washington and Walton able to stave off the Indy first down for the moment. Colts take a timeout, 21 seconds to play.
That's a lot of confidence in your defense, isn't it? You have a 3rd down and 1. You take timeout, figuring you're going to stop them and force the punt.
They called that on Indianapolis. It looked like Washington was trying to get a timeout as well.
Walton was. He was indicating he wanted a timeout.
That's one of those bizarre plays where you've got 21 seconds left, and it looked like both teams were trying to call a timeout, and they assessed it on Indy. They got there first.
Somebody is making a tactical error.
Yep, right. Right. Here's Walton calling a timeout, but Indy had called for it first. So Walton had confidence in his defense, and George had confidence in the offense.
Well, you know he's going to tell everyone, well, I was just pointing out that Indy had called timeout.
The holiday season.
Wouldn't want to call it Rudolph, would we?
Yep.
There's Eric Dickerson, split all the way out down here at the bottom of the screen as a wide receiver.
Yep. He's covered by A.J. Johnson. And, is George ever lucky? Tim Johnson batted it. And had he somehow intercepted it, there was nobody between Johnson and the end zone.
Well, I think it's safe to say that the odds of Johnson intercepting that thing with a one-handed stab with his left hand are relatively slim.
But the way he batted it, if there's somebody else in that neighborhood, big trouble. Big trouble. Ron Stark now to punt. And a left-footed kicker booms one to the 38-yard line. Joe Howard makes the fair catch, and we have 9 ticks left in the half. 34-yard kick. Changed that verb. He didn't boom it. More like a pooch kick, even though he wasn't trying to pooch it either.
He hit a booming pooch.
Yeah, I like that. Well, tomorrow night we can tell you that Eddie Murphy is back in The Golden Child, a special Christmas comedy treat on the ABC Sunday night movie tomorrow at 9 o'clock, 8 Central. The Golden Child right here on ABC.
Better than a booming pooch. I had a booming pooch one time, but I changed this dog food.
Does Cody star in the Golden Child?
Certainly should be.
From the 38-yard line. Here's Rippon. It's caught at the 40-yard line by Sanders. And can they stop the clock? No, they can't get the timeout before the clock ticks down to all zeros. And now the Skins are saying, hey, wait a second.
We've been through this.
1 second back on the clock.
Oh,
1 second and a field goal attempt.
exactly.
So Lohmiller certainly proving that this is within his range tonight. This one will be spotted at about the 45-yard line. It's a timeout now officially called by Washington. 1 second remaining. One field goal attempt for Lohmiller here.
I think it's just a 30-second timeout granted to the Redskins under these circumstances.
To let Lohmiller think about it.
Jeff Rutledge will spot it at the 46. 56-yard attempt. If he hits this one the way he hit the last one, it's good.
Probably what Lohmiller is telling himself. Kicker can just think, can I hit it like the last one? I don't need to reach for it. I've got plenty of distance. Just for a career best.
And this kick has a chance.
Oh, it hit
And
the
hits the bar and tips in. Incredible.
That will never be indicated on the play-by-play.
Nope. Hit the crossbar and rolled over.
Well, it was a combination of things. It was the great leg of Chip Lohmiller, but it was also the clock of Jerry Markbright granting Washington the timeout when it appeared that they didn't get it in time. Tremendous effort there by Lohmiller.
From 56. And so the Skins pulled to within one. After the first half of play, it's 14-13 Indianapolis. And we're back after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC station.
ABC's Monday Night Football. Brought to you by Bud Dry. Why ask why? Bud Dry, for refreshment that's beyond question. And by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world.
Indianapolis, Indiana. The Hoosier Dome is the site. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf with you. Our special Saturday edition. There is no Monday Night Football this coming week because of Christmas Eve. We'll be back with you on New Year's Eve from New Orleans against the Rams. Washington kicks off. Lohmiller boots it a yard deep in the end zone. Clarence Verdun comes back with it and is run out of bounds out at the 16-yard line. And the Colts take over at that spot as we begin the third quarter. Big night for Lohmiller, both in what he's done in terms of kicking field goals and in kicking off as well. Loves kicking inside. Numbers through the first 30 minutes of play. Skins with about a 2-to-1 advantage in total yardage.
They have had the majority of good-looking drives that have moved for consecutive first downs. A huge advantage here in the time of possession, 18-40 to 11-20.
Jeff George made a couple of big plays, and that was a primary concern of Richie Pettibone, the defensive coordinator, that he would do just that.
And Jeff George can't find anybody open as we begin the third quarter. Gets sacked back at the 5-yard line. That's the second sack of the game for the Penn State rookie Andre Collins.
You know, and I think the defensive unit knows how big a series this will be. Andre Collins coming in from the linebacking position, the first-round pick in a little bit of a duel, and chased out of the pocket is Jeff George. Moss held his block as long as he could, but this is a big series. If they can squash the Colts, who really are going nowhere as far as the playoffs are concerned, they can take a lot of the spirit out of this football team. If they let them get out of this hole, then they could have a long second half.
2nd and 21 after the Skins record their 4th sack and almost get a 5th. As George releases, a flag goes down.
That'll be a safety.
Monty Coleman came in, and they call it a safety.
Throwing it away in the end zone. That's 2. Yep. New leader. And George is shaken up.
He was shaken up on the prior play as well. He was slow in getting back to the huddle after the sack by
Intentional
Collins.
grounding. Number 20, offense, the safety.
Yeah, and not only that, but he takes a tremendous shot from Coleman at the same time. Few defensive coordinators in this league are as ruthless as Richie Pettibone when it comes to going after a rookie quarterback. Consecutive blitzes, forces a sack. This time it forces a safety. And Richie Pettibone will keep it up until he gets what he wants, and what he wants he just got. That's the lead.
And of course he has the confidence too. He got burned a couple of times in the first half with the blitz. He didn't leave it. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew he had the people to do it. He just kept with it, and he ultimately not only has shaken up the defensive the quarterback for the Colts, and I mean really shaking him up, but he has given this defensive team even more confidence.
Frank, you'll attest to the fact that when Pettibone played, he was one of the toughest guys around.
I still have the marks.
Well, he's the same way as the defensive coordinator, and Ron Meyer is not happy.
Doesn't like that call at all. 15-14 is the score. Washington leads by 1. Meyer incensed over the ruling on the play.
Well, he's paid to take that point of view.
It's a big series, defensive series for the Redskins, and that's going to take a lot out of this Colt ball club.
The rules are pretty obvious. If it is your intent to get rid of the football to do nothing more than avoid a sack, you're going to be called. You can see Jerry Mark right there in the back of the screen, looking, seeing if there was anyone anywhere near it, and he didn't. And there's Robert Irsay, who owns this club in Indianapolis, and it's safe to say that he doesn't think it was a very good call either.
Ron Stark on the free kick from the 20, and that's a 60-yard boot. And it's brought back to the 33-yard line by Joe Howard.
Meanwhile, Jeff George is sitting on the Colt bench, talking to several of their personnel, trying to, I guess, assess the damage.
But no one is warming up. Mark Herman is not. Well, now he has moved out behind the bench and is tossing the ball back and forth.
And there is Herman, number 9. The other quarterback in your picture as well is Rusty Hilger. Remember when the season started, they had Jack Trudeau. They had traded Chris Chandler to Tampa. First down, here's Biner from the 33.
You know, it brings up a story that has been a constant here in Indianapolis, and that concerns Jeff George and his physical toughness. You know, there are those that thought that maybe he should have played in some games where he sat on the sidelines. He missed 3 games this year with an abdominal muscle pull. I certainly have seen nothing in the 3 Colt games that we've seen this year that would lead me to believe that he's not as tough as anybody else down on that field. But it's a rap that he's going to have to overcome. I've seen him take big shots when we've seen these guys, as have you two. He's always been back in there. Got up, went back in the huddle, and kept playing.
We saw him against Philadelphia and the Giants. He was tough as you ever would want him to be.
2nd and 6. Biner moves through a big hole. Well, you know, that's a reputation he carried out of college with him. And, you know, when you think about it, it was probably more diverse opinion about Jeff George being the #1 pick than any #1 pick I can think of over the last 10 to 15 years. Some scouts thought he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Others said he's a 3rd-round draft choice.
Well, when he walked, you know, a lot of it stemmed, I think, from when he walked away from Purdue. I mean, they just, the people at Purdue hung a quitter's label on him and said that, you know, he wants to be up front. If he doesn't have it his way, he's going to pack his ball and leave. And, you know, that follows you for a while. Rightly or wrongly, deserved or not.
Biner picks up 5, takes it to the Colt 47-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 5. And
meanwhile, the Redskins are doing what they wanted to do in the first half, and that's moving the ball on the ground. But also, I go back to what I said about Richie Pettibone earlier tonight. I had a chance to speak to him, and he said he was really worried about this young quarterback. He said he can be a great one. And when Richie Pettibone, he doesn't speak in a whole lot of superlatives, says something like that and pins a possible label on you, you know that they've got a pretty good quarterback in Jeff George.
2nd and call it 4 from the 46-yard line. And this is Dupard picking up the first down. He takes it to the 40. He's stopped by Dwayne Bickett. 1st and 10 Redskins.
I think Pettibone's philosophy is really quite simple, that the odds favor him greatly by blitzing, by doing some different things to a rookie quarterback. I think it's easy for Richie Pettibone to sit back and say, well, if we lose the ball game, it was just a freak. The guy got lucky to a rookie quarterback. I think it's easy for Richie Pettibone to sit back and say, well, if we lose the ball game, it was just a freak. The guy got lucky and did things he really shouldn't be able to do. 9 times out of 10, I'll win that ball game, and I'll win it handily by taking chances and putting a great deal of pressure on that rookie quarterback.
That pressure has resulted in a 1-point margin for Washington as they try to add some more. Dupart picks up 5. Reggie Dupart, as we mentioned before, spent some time at New England. Then Washington got him, cut him, brought him back. And again, we go back to the fact that Biner's taken over as the horse in the backfield, but they still have Gerald Riggs on injured reserve, ready to be reactivated at any time. Report, meanwhile, from the bench on Jeff George. He's fine, and they expect him back in the next series. 2nd and 5 from the 35. Biner back in. And they call his number. And he's close to a first down. He lost the ball, but after he was down, no fumble, John Hand makes the tackle. And he's a little short of the first down, and that puts him over 100 yards tonight. Ernest Biner has now picked up 103 yards. 4 weeks in a row he's gone over the 100 mark.
He is again, and once again he was down when the ball came out of there. The knee was down, but the Redskins have not been fumbling the ball this year. They have a remarkable record of holding on to that football, and that's one thing that Joe Gibbs' offense demands. You could see full well that he was down and coming up short of the first down. They're going to probably look at it again, but I cannot believe that they could reverse this. The knee did appear to be down.
Again, another look from the replay booth. Bob Beeks is the replay official.
Again, I think one look should suffice. He's got control of the ball. He's got control of the ball. The knee is down.
Play stands, and we're ready for action again. 3rd and 1. Here is Biner, and Biner is able to escape an ankle tackle in the backfield and pick up the first down, taking it to the 28-yard line. 9:40 to play, 3rd quarter. Washington up by 1. The only other player in the league to gain 100 yards or more 4 consecutive weeks this season was Bobby Humphrey of Denver.
Well, we have to go back a long way for the Redskins to have a running back to 4 consecutive 100s, don't we? With Riggs several years ago.
From the 29-yard line.
Head start.
Yeah, Biner again. There's a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
I think it was Jimmy Johnson, the tight end, that took off a good half a count early.
Penalty flag on the play.
And
Offside.
to you.
Number 87, offense. 5 yards, first down.
Well, Ron Middleton, the tight end of that side.
Pony Boys come back in and get the long yardage situation. The Skins have been going with their multiple tight end offense. Now Clark and Sanders back.
1st and 15. Washington's now been penalized 11 times already, and that equals their season high, or low if you prefer.
Hard to imagine him playing over 23 minutes of football without another penalty.
Here's Monk down to the 22-yard line, so he picks up 12. Redskin team record, most penalties in the game, 17.
Meanwhile, this is a drive that every head coach loves to see. Just a very methodical, physical when you have to be, complete a high percentage possession pass when you have to, but this is a very tidy little piece of surgical work being done by the Redskins right now.
Following a safety.
Yeah.
2nd and 3 from the 22. Rippon Picks up the first down. Clark makes the catch. And he's taken down by Grant. First down. Washington at the 15-yard line.
You talk about Gary Clark and all of his great days that he's had. He can go deep for you. Is a lot of what he has 10 receptions, over 30 yards on the year, but he's a great possession receiver. Not all that big at 175, about 5'9", but he knows where to find the first down. I don't know what the stats are about his first downs, but he has given the Redskins a great deal of them.
Rippon completing 50% of his attempts tonight. First down from the 14-yard line. Ernest Biner to the 10. Gain of 4. Jeff Harrod makes the stop. Harrod's a guy that doesn't get a lot of publicity, but he may be the best player on this defensive unit.
Playing on a sore ankle too. He held out all during the summer training camp, but he works from the middle. He's one of the ones they leave in there when they go into their prevent defense. He's a good defender on the pass, can stuff the run, slides along that line of scrimmage really well.
Third year out of Mississippi, and there's Fred Young, the other linebacker, formerly with the Seahawks, bothered by a hip problem that's been recurring and inactive tonight. 2nd and 8 is Kelvin Bryant. Got tripped up by his own man Raleigh McKenzie, who was pushed back. John Hand and Chip Banks will get credit for the tackle, and it will set up a third.
Well, that was a brilliant play by Chip Banks. Jumping up the field, then cutting back inside, taking on blockers. I mean, there's a guy who single-handedly just ruins an entire play for a loss of yardage as well. Watch it there. There's at the top of your screen. There's Banks. Comes back inside, takes on McKenzie, takes on Lachey, and then spins around and makes a tackle. That's big-time work there by Chip Banks.
Third down 8 from the 13-yard line. Rippon incomplete, intended for Art Monk, who was covered very well on the play by Chris Good and helped out by Jeff Harrod. And the Redskins will have to settle for a field goal attempt with 5:53 remaining in the third quarter, and the Skins ahead by 1.
Chip shot for Lohmiller after what he's been looking at all night.
Yeah, he's made 2 from 53 and 56 and missed the 50-yarder when it hit the upright. This one a 30-yard effort. Perfect. Officially goes into the books as a 29-yard field goal. And the Redskins, with 5 points in the period, lead by 4. Chip Lohmiller to kick off. Washington ahead by 4, but for some reason there's no kickoff here. The whistle had blown before. Jerry Markwright had said it's official. Jerry is saying, I never told you could do this. Gotta wait for my permission, Chip.
It was not made ready for play by the referee. There's no penalty.
And that's me. And there will be no penalty. We'll do it again.
Right.
And way to go, Jerry.
Jerry's way of saying nothing happens unless I say it can happen.
I love you. Thank you, ABC.
Santa's helpers. Washington to kick off again. No penalty, no nothing. Pardon the double negative, but the ball was not ready for play.
Well, the kicker has to look down the field and get the visual signal from the referee that it is okay to kick. Lohmiller right now looking at Markwright. He just got it.
Probably Billy Edwards' fault.
Got the same kind of kick. This is Albert Bentley from the 5, and he gets smothered at the 10-yard line. Colts will begin their second possession of the third quarter deep in their own territory. Their first ended in a safety. 5:42 remaining, third quarter.
There's Billy.
Who is that man?
The man from Annapolis.
Back in Indy, some of you may have watched in the first quarter. Sidney Johnson was hurt for Washington. Very scary on the field for 10 minutes. And if you missed our follow-up report. He's fine. In fact, they've checked him out at a hospital. They will keep him overnight, and the Redskins expect him to be able to fly home tomorrow. And that was the best news of the night on what was a very scary time for 60,000 people looking on here. On first down, Eric Dickerson takes it out to the 14-yard line. Dickerson suspended for the first 6 games this season, and coming into this season he'd averaged 106.9 yards per game, #1 on the all-time list, but he has been knocked off his perch by Jim Brown, who's back up on top. Sort of an inglorious way to drop out of the lead. 2nd and 7. Dickerson picks up 2, and that's 9 carries tonight for 29 yards for ED, who was suspended. That cost him about $650,000. But what they did is they extended his contract for 4 years. It's a $10 million 4-year deal, but not guaranteed. And that means that if the Colts say 1 year, hey, you're not going to make this team, off he goes without payment.
And there was no signing bonus to compensate for what it cost him by being fined.
3rd and 5 from the 16. Verdan, he shakes loose, and it's a first down for the Colts out at the 35-yard line. Stopped by A.J. Johnson after a 19-yard pickup.
Colts coming back with Jeff George once again. You talk about tough. We didn't know whether he was going to be able to continue the game. He hangs in there, fires it to Verdan. Good play by Johnson. A lot of speed on the part of Verdan.
Boy, I tell you what, a nice block up front, Frank, by Albert Bentley. Pettibone sent the blitz that time, and Albert Bentley, who not even 6 feet tall, he has made some excellent blocks tonight, stepping up and picking up the blitz.
First down from the 35-yard line. Dickerson escapes the tackle in the backfield, then gets upended by Eric Williams after Kurt Gouveia charged in and nearly caught him about 5 yards back of the line.
I mean, we talked about Pettibone and his being relentless. He's certainly making us look good.
He was looking good, awfully good tonight too. As Charlie Casserly. Eric Williams was another one of those players brought in. They have dealt well in the Plan B program. They've made good trades, and everyone on this defensive team, the entire defensive unit of the Redskins, takes part in all of their action, and they're playing exceptionally well over the past few weeks. Quite a tribute to the management of this ball club.
Casserly, the GM, 2nd down and 8, and that's Bentley, who was blanketed by Walton. He couldn't shake loose. It'll be 3rd and 8. 2:44 left, 3rd quarter. In Colt land, 18-14 Washington. There is a horse and a half.
Oh, there are some nostrils.
Oh.
They go down that line there. Eric Williams, he was involved in a trade from Detroit. Stokes was an unprotected free agent a year ago from the Rams. They've done a superb job of keeping this team right up at top level.
3rd and 8. Redskins not only show blitz, but come across the line. It's a free play. It's incomplete. Verdan, the intended receiver, but you saw the Redskins come charging across.
Well, they're almost acting like Jeff George had fallen into some sort of a rhythm.
Offside, number 51, defense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
When you see people going in unison like that, a lot of times the quarterback will fall into a rhythm, and that, if that's the case, a very alert job by Jeff George of sensing that, Frank, and changing it up, because that was all that was. He had
Young ones do it too.
Easily in motion. Oh, they sure do.
By rhythm, you mean going on the same snap count.
Right.
Over and over and over. He gets the play called in, but he gets to call the snap count.
You can't believe how many quarterbacks in this league just call everything on 2.
Or 4.
3rd and 3. George trying to keep this drive alive, and that pass in no man's land. There were 2 Colts but 3 Redskins in the neighborhood. Morgan and Brooks were there, but a trio of defenders, and Indianapolis is forced to kick.
George walked off the field. He was kind of disgusted. He pointed to somebody on his backside. That little roll, he was supposed to have been better protected, I'm sure. Pointed to somebody and took the helmet off and showed the kind of emotion that, well, you want from a quarterback. Somebody did something wrong and he was going to let him know about it.
Ron Stark to punt. Joe Howard to receive the kick. High booming kick. Howard at the 6. Back out to the 18-yard line. Tackled by Matt Vanderbeek. 52-yard kick. 12-yard return.
That's Jeff George a few moments ago when he left the field. Really upset. Upset with the blocking, I think, from his backside.
Update on the posse. The 3 Redskin wideouts, Monk and Clark, have each caught 3 tonight. Sanders 1. Last week, Clark was shut out. And the posse caught a total of 5 passes on that rain-slick surface in New England. Redskins start from the 18-yard line. Ernest Biner out to the 33-yard line. He starts this drive with a 15-yard pickup, and he's as hot as any running back in the league right now.
Ron Middleton, the H-back, cracked back on an inside trap and opened up a hole you could have taken a truck through. Number 87. Watch him come back, and I'll tell you, this has got to be terrifying for a defensive lineman. He has no idea this is coming. Watch number 87.
I think he has 79, Harvey Armstrong, the nose guard. And that is the block that springs Ernest Biner. Biner, unlike Dickerson, whenever he has an option to cut, he always cuts back to the middle of the field. Of course, he doesn't have Dickerson's speed.
Here's Biner. Can't get started this time. He was a little shaken up after that last play. He went back in the huddle and he was doing knee bends and a little slow in getting to the line. They call his number and it results in a 1-yard loss. 2nd and 11.
Hey, when you've been carrying the football as frequently as Biner has over the past 5 or 6 weeks, you get a lot of nicks. You don't complain about them. You go out and you work and you practice, but you've got a sore thigh, you've got a sore calf, you've got a sore shoulder. You can't complain about it, but it's cumulative, and after a while it begins to be as exhausting as anything else. But you have to deal with it. It's December football with the Redskins.
2nd and 11, and they give it to Biner. They tried to fool the Colts, and it didn't fool Donnell Thompson. He was right there holding his ground. 3rd and long. 45 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. It's a 4-point Redskin lead, 18-14. Third and 12. They have to get to the 42. And they get to the 45 on the reception by Gary Clark, who got inside Pryor and Daniel and picks up the first down as the 3rd quarter ticks away.
Another first down reception for Clark. That's several on the night. Again, he can scare you to death going on the deep patterns, but when he knows he's got to get the first down, he has the great experience, the great yardage counter in his head, and he gets it once again.
Redskins by 4 after 3. Back we come after this word from our ABC stations.
Well, I can spot Richie Westline a mile away. I'm not sure if that's an improvement from the dog pound or not.
Which is the real Deerdorf?
Yeah, there are about 20,000 of those things floating around here in the stadium.
How did this happen?
First down from the 45-yard line is Reggie Dupart.
Someone was concerned about you having a job, I think, Dan.
I mean, I don't.
Hope you guys have done your Christmas shopping.
I mean, how is it I show up at a stadium and there are 20,000 people with these masks here? I don't.
Well, you were busy this past week.
My royalty check will be in the mail, I guess. That's all I can feel. Well, you know what? At this point in time, going into the 4th quarter, we still have a ball game. I mean, we still have a very good ball game. The Washington Redskins, who desperately need a win to try to maintain that home field advantage if they host the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs are, they are not even a touchdown ahead.
Well, here's Gary Clark.
Oh, yes,
The minute you open your mouth.
Hey, when I said it, they weren't a touchdown ahead.
Yep.
It's just now they're a touchdown.
And there are no flags.
53-yard touchdown reception by Gary Clark.
This has happened to me more than once this year.
I'm a psychic or something.
It's
I don't know what
amazing.
it is.
I'm a negative psychic.
Think about Gary Clark again with those big numbers where he breaks tackles. He came into the night with 10 receptions of 30 or more. Now this was just a little short stop. It was a good read on the part of Rippon, and then Gary Clark does what he does so often, makes the first man miss, and this time there isn't a second man. He takes it all the way. Outstanding receiver, one of the greats.
And a big play specialist too. 7th time he's caught a pass this year of 40 yards or more. Gary Clark gets into the end zone for the 8th time this year on the Redskins' longest pass play of the season, and that puts them up by 11.
Okay, I'm sorry I brought it up.
14-17 to play. Redskins 25, Colts 14. Lohmiller's kick bounces at the 8, skids sideways, and did it go out of bounds?
Oh, they're going to say he had possession of it.
Did he handle that?
I mean, Verdane better hope it went out of bounds.
Oh, come on. This is a Pro Bowl return man.
That's bizarre. If he lets it go out of bounds, they get the ball at the 35-yard line. By doing what he did, they take it at the 6. Strange.
Clarence, you naughty boy.
Oh, no, let it go. Let it go. Clarence Verdane a moment ago doing something he wished he hadn't. The Pro Bowl return man. That ball is definitely going out of bounds. He reaches for it, and then the official right on top of the scene, but it did look as though he field handled the ball out of bounds.
Well, Bob Beeks, the replay official tonight, is looking at it. They are halting play down on the field. I mean, this is a sizable piece of real estate we're talking about here. If they would overturn that, they would get the ball up at the 35-yard line.
The kickoff is being reviewed by instant replay.
They would have to make the determination that if he did not have the possession inbounds, if that right foot was on the sideline, they will at the same time have to make a determination that the ball was indeed going to continue out of bounds, which means then that ball is automatically spotted up at the 35-yard line. So it's there's not only a reversal of where the Colts get the ball, but
is it visible evidence enough that his right foot is out of bounds? It looks like it's just right on the edge, and the official is looking right down on it.
That's what Jerry Markbright, you could read his lips. He said if they reverse this ball's got to go up to the 35-yard line.
We have a reversal on the kickoff. The ball was touched by an out-of-bounds player. It will be put in play on the 35-yard line by rule.
And Verdane says thank you very much. Talk about getting away with brain.
He was really relieved with that one. Well, he knows he should have been far away from that ball. Once he determined it was going out of bounds.
Clarence jumped out of a window and found out halfway down that the fire department was conducting a test, and he landed in the net. He got real lucky.
Yeah, they're having a lot of fun with him too.
You know, he's so anxious to have a tremendous night because, remember, he's playing against his old team, and the feeling in Washington was he had trouble handling kicks. And so they let him go. He comes to Indianapolis because, I mean, that's a play that a Pro Bowl return man doesn't make. First down, Indy from the 35-yard line. Washington up by 11. Brooks, who's been a pretty silent guy tonight, picks up 9.
Boy, that's that arm that Pettibone was talking about a moment ago.
First catch of the night for Willie Brooks.
Little roll to the right. This is what they call their rocket offense, which is nothing but run and shoot. And Jeff's got the quick arm. He can deliver it very fast. Doesn't have a lot of athletic mobility back there if he's forced to run at all.
2nd and 1 up at the 44-yard line. Redskins show blitz. Here they come again, and they were offside. So even though the play, a handoff to Bentley, results in a 3-yard loss, that's only temporary. Charles Mann was the man.
Offside, number 71, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
A quick look at Richie Pettibone. He's played the '63 championship game as an all-pro safety. Here's Mann again, coming to the outside, getting a little jump on it. But then he went out with George Allen. Penalties by Washington, 14. They're continuing to climb. They need 3 more to tie the record. But then he came to the Redskins with Allen. He's been there as a coach since 1978.
From the 49 on first down. Screen to Bentley with blocking. First down. Takes it to the 31-yard line.
Well, the Colts have been trying all night to run this screen. They finally removed the defensive end from that side away from the play and allowed Jeff George to go ahead and get the throw. Watch it here from our wide shot. This time Brian Baldinger, the right tackle, goes in, occupies Charles Mann, and keeps him out of Jeff George's face. Albert Bentley chooses not to wait for his blockers, and I think that was a wise choice. He would have had to slow to a walk to wait for those guys to get out front.
First down at the 31-yard line. Pressure on, but he gets it away. Here's Brooks. He slips by Green. He slips by another man and takes it down to the 6-yard line. He left Green and Bowles in their tracks. It'll be 1st and goal.
And yet it's Darrell Green that finally comes back and makes the tackle. That's the kind of athlete he is. But Billy Brooks, who only got his first catch about 2 minutes ago, check this out in the open field.
As Green misses, now watch Green with the great speed and acceleration. He gets right back into it to make the stop. But a good move by Brooks. Green anticipating the move to the outside. He got one to the inside and it left him hanging.
1st and goal, 12 minutes to play. Washington leads by 11. That's Bentley split top of the screen.
Here comes the blitz again.
George gets the pass away, and a tremendous catch by Morgan. Touchdown.
35 years young. Stanley Morgan is 2nd of the night. He beats Alvoid Mays in the corner. George with just about as perfect a thrown football as you'll ever want to see. He had to. The coverage was good. The blitz is on. Even Dickerson had a nice pickup. And the perfectly thrown pass.
And that ball got there much quicker than Mays was expecting it. It really wasn't bad coverage at all by Mays. He's pretty much right with Stanley, but the ball was there before Mays had a chance to react to it and make a play for it.
Biasucci with the point after. Colts pulled to within 4.
And they are making a game of it.
Oh, yep. As you predicted. Stanley Morgan. Well, after 13 years in New England, the Pats might have thought he was washed up. Don't tell the Redskins.
No more predictions, Ben.
11 minutes and 47 seconds remaining. 4th quarter in Indianapolis. Colts still breathing in terms of playoff hopes, just barely. A loss would knock them totally out. Washington trying to, for the moment, maintain home field advantage in a wild card playoff game as Biasucci's kick winds up going through the end zone, and the Redskins will take over at the 20-yard line. Take a look again at that last touchdown. Regular speed. George hitting Stanley Steamer.
4 straight completions on this drive out.
And Morgan at the other end for the 2nd time tonight. Touchdown reception for Stanley.
And relentless Richie Pettibone coming with the blitz, and this time the rookie won.
Good pickup on the part of Dickerson. He picked up a blitzing Raven Caldwell.
First down, Skins at the 20-yard line. Jimmy Johnson, the man in motion. And Ernest Biner picks up 8. He's been doing that all night long. 6, 7, 8, 9 yards a pop.
Harvey Armstrong, the nose tackle of the Colts, has to be going, it's tough enough. I have to fight off guards. I have to fight off centers. But putting a tight end in motion, letting him come in and hatchet me, I'm not getting paid enough to handle this.
There are the numbers on Morgan. 72 touchdown receptions, 2 tonight. And that's the kind of company he's keeping. He moves into 14th place in NFL history, surpasses Bob Hayes and Wesley Walker. Second and 2 from the 28. Biner,
a new wrinkle.
breaks it into the secondary, out to the 47-yard line.
I got to go back and look at Jimmy Johnson.
Oh my God, you need a tutu to make that move. No wonder he blew up the middle like that. I think the Colt linebackers burst into spontaneous laughter.
Jimmy Johnson coming in motion. He gave it a Nuria. Watch him, number 88, coming from your right. Hello. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Well,
it must be effective. Look at that hole.
The Redskins have taken motion to a whole new level now. They've dimensionalized motion here.
Next thing you know, they'll hire Nureyev as an assistant coach.
Yeah. Repeat.
From the 47. Dupont, he breaks it into Indianapolis territory to the 41-yard line. Colts are mesmerized. Meanwhile, there's an injured Redskin. It's Mark Schlereth, the guard.
Oh, now this is an area where the Redskins just can't tolerate another injury. They still have Russ Grimm on the sideline, but boy, they are perilously thin in the offensive line. Here it comes from the left. A whirling, twirling 250-pound tight end.
He wanted you to know that he was not a one-dimension twirler. The Redskins now deeply concerned not only for the well-being of Schlereth.
Well, they've already lost Ed Simmons, their right tackle, who was just playing outstanding football. There's Russ Grimm, who normally a longtime starter at left guard on this ball club. And there's the offensive line coach of the Redskins on the left-hand side, Jim Hannafin, talking to Gibbs. And
he's done a great job, Dan, keeping this offensive line together. They've had 5 or 6 games now where they have not started the same players in the same position in that offensive line, and they've been moving the football, protecting the passer. This man on the left is responsible for that.
Timeout on the field. 9:59 remaining in the 4th. Your basic armchair quarterbacks looking on here. If you'll recall, in preseason, I guess you win that chair in a contest or something at the Hoosier Dome. Jim McMahon was occupying that role in preseason. Little did he know he'd be in that role most of the regular season as well.
Really.
Here's Reggie Dupart on first down, and Dupart picks up about 8. Meanwhile, Mark Schlereth was helped off the field. Mark Addix is in there, replacing him on the offensive line. There is Mark Addix in what has become a very depleted Redskin interior 5.
Really what has aided the Redskins, and I'm not sure they really knew it at the time so much, has been the healthy return of Joe Jacoby, a guy who several years ago suffered a devastating knee injury. A lot of people didn't think that Big Joe was going to be able to come back. He came back in initially as a backup, but has really had to start and has really played back to his old level. I mean, this guy was a great football player. Remember some of his epic battles with Lawrence Taylor.
We saw Schlereth being worked on the side on 2nd and 1. Dupart gets it to the 28-yard line. Talked about Dupart coming out of SMU, where he played for Meyer. He was the guy who, in a way, I don't remember if he directly succeeded Dickerson, but Eric was there, and Dupart may have been the next real feature back with the Mustangs.
Well, of course, they had the great duo with Craig James, who was there at the same time as Eric Dickerson. But the Pony Express backfield, or whatever they call them. Ron Meyer has had some running backs at SMU.
1st and 10, Redskins at the 27-yard line. They lead by 4. Dupart again picks up 2, gets to the 26.
Chip
8:10
Banks
remaining in the fourth.
Chip Banks making a fine spin off that block of Mitchell to be in on the tackle. The Redskins working on the clock down to single digits in time remaining in minutes. And they're doing just about what they wanted to do.
Oh, that's amazing. Our guys, you talk about a crack crew. We mentioned McMahon. There he is in preseason with Ron Meyer. Occupying the lazy boy. And now, 4 months later.
Still trying to figure that out.
What a library we've got in that truck.
Wow.
Here's Dupard.
Harvey Armstrong got it again, Dan, from Jimmy Mitchell cracking back on him. You saw number 88.
How about the final 2 minutes of It's a Wonderful Life? Can you bring that?
Just
one of my favorites.
Just name it. Kenny and Craig are down there queuing it up as we speak.
Thank you.
3rd down and 2 for the Redskins at the 19-yard line.
Redskins have got themselves now in a position they can do pretty much what they want to do on 3rd down and 2. Play action would work very good for them. They're running the ball, moving it on the ground. They wanted to put it in the air, a play action pass, or either that or just keep it on the ground. They've been blowing them out of there.
And Rippon's got to take a timeout here.
Like I said, they can do anything they wanted to do.
Key play coming up. 6:46.
Good call. I mean, if you look over there and you're not getting the defense you anticipated, what you've been told to expect, you have the personnel in there that's not going to be effective with the play you have called. Call timeout. Save it. This is a very important point in the game where they want to put some points up there.
Here's a reminder, a week from Monday night, New Year's Eve, and celebrate part of it with us from the Superdome in New Orleans. The Rams against the Saints. And notice it's an hour earlier than normal for Monday night. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific.
Cody makes his first trip to New Orleans. Down in the village. On Bourbon Street.
He won't see you because we'll be working that night and the next night as well as the Sugar Bowl comes your way on ABC.
Dan's already working on that game. I caught him today with his board, playboard all complete on Virginia and Tennessee. Oh.
3rd and 2 after the timeout as Ernest Biner is close to a 1st down.
They won't ask him to run down the roster for you.
Oh, please don't.
1st down. And this is it's a big drive for Washington. There's quite a significant difference here between a field goal and a touchdown. A field goal is going to put you up by 7. And the Colts can, of course, tie it by getting into the end zone. A touchdown, and you force Indianapolis to score twice.
Well, if I was the Redskins, I would stay with what I've been doing so well, and that is running the football. The clock becomes your friend, and you have an offensive line that, even with some injuries, has still been controlling the line of scrimmage.
1st and 10, 17-yard line. Ernest Biner for about 4. Matt Vanderbeek makes the stop. Clock keeps running. 5:48 remaining.
Attic's got a fine block that Biner could bring it back across the middle with. And Attic's coming off the bench, and once again the Skins have to reshuffle this offensive line.
Ernest Biner, 28 carries, 150 yards. His career high, 188 yards against Houston in his rookie season. 84. Biner.
Oh, yes.
Takes it to the 10-yard line. 3rd and 3.
Talked about Biner not having the speed of a Dickerson. When you don't have the great speed, you sometimes are more effective running back in the traffic. You saw Biner. He saw that close down to the outside. He took a peek inside and got yardage out of it here. Just on sheer instinct, he planted the right foot, cut it back, had the quickness, and was able to get the yardage out of it.
3rd down 3. Another big play for the Skins. Again, a very significant difference. A field goal, and Indy can tie it with a touchdown. Washington scores a touchdown and makes the extra point, and Indy's got to score 2 touchdowns. 3rd and 3. And Rippon lost it too deep. Ricky Sanders had position in the back of the end zone on Taylor.
Well, I'll tell you, that wasn't even in the same area code.
Yeah.
Rippon apparently wanting to assure himself he'd get the 3 yards, but Sanders had made a good move and he was open back there.
So Lohmiller comes on. Chip will attempt a 27-yard field goal.
Something tells me Joe Gibbs is saying to himself right now, I don't know why I didn't run that ball.
Lohmiller's field goal is good, so he's made 4 tonight. And the only one he missed was from 50, and it hit the upright. Puts the Redskins up by 7, 28-21.
Jeff George away from tying this thing up.
4:15 remaining. And looking ahead, the Colts have all of their timeouts left. Jeff George will be leading the offense as soon as the Colts get the ball back after the kickoff in the Hoosier Dome. Most field goals of 50 or more yards in a quarter, and so he puts his name into the record book along with Nick Lowry of Kansas City and Norm Johnson of Seattle is the only 3 in the history of the league to do it twice in a quarter. And also in that first half, as we mentioned, no kicker in the history of the league has ever kicked 3 in a game of 50 or more, and he came very close.
Every kicker in America is riveted by all that too. As you are.
I knew it.
You know it. The way you're calling plays tonight, you know everything. It's amazing. I keep waiting for you to say none of the announcers has ever won the lottery and then see what happens.
If I said it, it wouldn't be plural. I just try to will myself into that. Sorry.
I got you. For Dan Townsend in the end zone, and Indianapolis will take over at the 20-yard line.
Interesting now to see what defensive coordinator Richie Pettibone does defensively. He has pretty much committed himself all night long to a blitzing style of defense. I don't think he'll go away from it. Dan touched on it a moment ago. He's right in your face. That's the way he believes in it.
Well, he does it without a lot of stars too, Frank. I mean, if you take Darrell Green off that team, I mean, there isn't a real legitimate star player on there. You got a lot of good ones, but you know, few great ones. I guess maybe Wilbur Marshall might be another guy that comes to mind.
No big names, just big plays.
4 wide receivers in this set, and wide open is Hester over the middle. He has the first down. He's tackled up at the 34-yard line by Martin Mayhew. That's a gain of 14, and we're under 4 minutes to play.
Colts have in the game now what they refer to as their rocket offense. Basically, that's the run and shoot offense. With the 4 wide receivers. Speedy wide receivers. And
the difference is that they don't move George out of there the way, say, Detroit moves, you know, Rodney Peete on that little semi-roll. But you're right, it's spread the field.
4 receivers again, 3 of them set to the left. George looks that way. He hits Brooks, and Brooks is ridden out of bounds at the 47, and that's a first down. Darrell Green with the tackle, and the clock stops with 3:32 remaining, and that's 222 yards in the air for George tonight.
At the beginning of the game, we talked about good signs for Indianapolis, things that they can look at with a positive nature concerning the future. And of course, Jeff George, we have seen him 3 times, once in the preseason, twice in the regular season, and I see a tremendous maturation. This kid is going to prove to be worth what they paid for him.
Out of the gun on 1st and 10. 4-man skin rush. Here's the screen, and an ill-conceived and executed one as Bentley makes the catch and loses 3. Alvin Walton pops him.
He will take an occasional hit on you, Alvin Walton.
That's a hit you could listen to and say, that sounded like Alvin Walton.
Same sound that Ronnie Lott normally emits. Williams comes limping off. Eric Williams. Tim Johnson spells him along the defensive front. 2nd and 12 from the 45. Over the middle, Hester can't hang on. In a lot of traffic, 3 skins were there in front of him and behind him. And the ball was also thrown behind Hester, so it's 3rd down and 12. Key play coming up.
Little behind, but one that could have been caught. Now the Redskins change personnel. They bring out a 6th defensive back. They bring in James Gathers. He's another reclamation job of these Washington Redskins, the former star of the New Orleans Saints, but he's in there now, big number 97.
3rd and 12 at the 45 from the shotgun. George stepping up, looks for Brooks, not even close. 4th down, 2:40 to play.
Good pressure, and the Skins are doing it without blitzing at all. And they're able to pressure George that time, and crowd's not going to like this.
Well, they send the punting unit in. I think what Meyer's thinking is, hey, I got a 4th and 12. I still have all my timeouts, and I got a 2-minute warning. If I can just stop them from getting the 1st down, I got a better shot.
Keep last week here against the Jets, Al. They threw out of the punt formation.
Yep, hit Mike Pryor on a very key play that led to a go-ahead touchdown. But obviously Meyer thinking about the 4 timeouts he's got in his hip pocket. Stark has it fielded by Howard at the 9 and brought back to the 13, and now it's incumbent on the defense to stop the Redskins, and that's no easy task with one Ernest Biner in the backfield. 2:30 remaining. Redskins at the 13-yard line.
You know what the difference in this game is right now?
Go back to that first quarter, the 4th down.
When he went for it on 4th and 2 and did 4th and 6 inches rather, and didn't get it. The Redskins scored a touchdown on that drive. They turned it over at their own 42-yard line.
Yep.
That's a 7-point differential in this game.
Well, he wanted to make an early statement, and it backfired. And now I think he made the right move there right now. They've got the 4 timeouts to work with as Biner gets stopped for no gain. Are they going to take the first one here? They look around, and they do. So again, they have a 2 remaining plus another at the 2-minute warning with 2:22 to go.
I mean, it just makes excellent food for thought. You go for a 4th down. Granted, it was only 6 inches in the first quarter, and you don't get it. And then you don't go on 4th down in the 4th quarter with less than 3 minutes to play when you're trailing. It's
Ron Meyer is very candid when you ask him what this football team needs, as we did this morning, and he talks about, of course, the defensive help. They're very slow back there. He would like to get defensive help in the secondary, and perhaps the first thing that came to his mind was a good wide receiver to go with Jeff George. So there's no question as to the commitment, what they gave up to get George, that they're going to go out and try to build up that offensive line, try to help themselves defensively if they can, but also go for that gifted receiver. That's a lot of things. It's a tall order, and you don't get them in 1 year.
2nd and 11. Washington from the 12. Sanders in motion. Keep it on the ground, and Biner gets banged down at the 13-yard line. Indianapolis uses another timeout. It's going to be 3rd and long upcoming with 2:13. Skins by 7. Very interesting. Well, then Meyer with Biner getting up slowly. Again, it's good sound thinking what he's doing here. You're just saying to your defense, hey guys, you got to stop him. Just stop one time and you'll give us our best shot.
Oh, I don't fault him for punting it on 4th down, not when it's 4th and 12. No, I just say it's an interesting irony that he'll go for it on 1st down, 4th down in the first quarter, and yet not on 4th and the 4th. I don't blame him for not going for it. 4th and 12, when you have all 3 of your timeouts, you still have a 2-minute warning, which will come into play here after the next play.
He's thinking in that first quarter, I mean, that's more of a psychological move. That's saying, I want to establish the tone of the game if I can.
I think, Al, too, he had a great deal more respect than perhaps he needed for the Washington Redskins, at least the way they played tonight. He's thinking back 2 weeks ago when they were killed by a physical team, the Buffalo Bills, and he characterized the Redskins as being a lot like these Buffalo Bills. So he thought probably early on that he had to go and get anything and everything he could.
3rd and 10. The Skins probably compelled to throw here as Rippon retreats. Rippon throws. It's broken up at the 20-yard line by Chris Good.
Oh, boy. And so close to a turnover. That ball thrown errantly by Rippon and right into the arms of Good. Watch number 37, Chris Good. We'll step inside of Gary Clark. Oh,
yep.
Right off the shoulder pads.
And that's the best of all possible things that could have happened to Indianapolis outside of the interception, because they don't have to use a timeout. The clock stops on the incompletion. Here's a bad kick off the foot of Goodburn, fielded at the 45 by Verdun. He's out of bounds at the 37. 2:01 left, and that's another huge break for Indianapolis. The clock stops on a change of possession. They get another play. The timeout at the 2-minute warning, and they still have another timeout.
That's a huge break, is right.
I mean, that's winning the lottery.
And I don't think you have to explain it to Joe Gibbs.
What a time to get that kind of a punt. Low and bad, the kind that could be fielded. Great field position for Indianapolis.
Well, that whole last sequence could not have worked out more in Indianapolis's favor. Now can they capitalize on it?
Well, Good could have intercepted it.
Yeah, right. From the 37, meanwhile, the play is whistled dead. There is no play here. Contact was made. Tim Johnson had come barreling across, and the clock will be reset to 2:01.
Were they drawn off, or were they once again anticipating the frequency of the count on the part of the quarterback?
We have an encroachment foul on number 78. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's going to move the ball to the 32-yard line.
There's Ray Donaldson, the center. Ooh, you saw him. He actually moved the ball, but that movement of the ball came after Johnson was already in the neutral zone. That's not what drew Johnson into the neutral zone. In fact, look at it from this angle. Watch Johnson take off, and that's very smart by Ray Donaldson. By moving the ball when he's in the neutral zone, he forces the issue.
Made sure he got the penalty.
Yeah.
1st and 5. George throws, and a fingertip drop. Jesse Hester, covered by Martin Mayu. Would have been a spectacular catch. Came close. And man, slow in getting up. Meanwhile, that takes us to the 2-minute warning with 1:56 officially remaining.
That's still a big-time throw by George.
Oh, I'm just going to say that's one of the fine throws into coverage, and he got it in there just on a rope off the fingertips, and one that. And then that's not even a difficult catch. Hester is up there, is on his inside. He had to go up for it, but I'm sure he'll tell you I should have had that ball. Great throw.
Here's where Charles Mann gets hurt, and watch this. It's an illegal block. He's working on Baldinger, and there comes Albert Bentley in from the outside. That is an illegal block. Charles Mann was engaged by Baldinger when Bentley came in and cut his legs out from under him. Mann's off the field.
But no flag. 2nd down and 5. George throws. Brooks has it. First down. And he gets out of bounds as well, so they can serve their last timeout at the 24-yard line.
Good blocking by the Colts. They pick up the blitz. Give George time to get it out to Brooks. Dale Green's trying to keep him from getting out of bounds, and he stretches out and stops the clock. Good effort, Billy Brooks.
Although his knees were both on the ground, well in the field of play.
1st and 10 at the 24-yard line. That's Dickerson split to the left, bottom of the screen. Over the middle, the catch is made by Stanley Morgan. He takes it to the 12, and that's a 1st down.
And Richie Pettibone is saying to Jeff George, in your face, I'm coming with the blitz. And George is beating it. I mean, George is beating it. Morgan makes the adjustment, breaks off his route to the inside, and Jeff delivers the ball.
Well, he knew right where to go. He knew the veteran would be there, reading the blitz with him.
I think this kid's no longer a rookie.
Looks like a 10-year veteran. 1st down from the 12. Throws. Touchdown. Billy Brooks.
Jeff George, what a drive. He got the benefit of a bad punt but he's looking like he's been around a lot of years.
Ron Meyer watches that strategy pay off in spades.
Brooks squatting in the end zone. George drilled it in there, and Indianapolis has done what the Bears could not do.
Well, I'll tell you what, Frank, that was a totally blown coverage by the Redskins. I mean, a totally blown zone coverage.
Biasucci now for the critical point after to tie the game. Stark to hold it. Even at 28.
Well, well, well. The Colts put 3 wide receivers to one side of the field. They covered 2, but nobody bothered with Billy Brooks. He sits in the end zone all by himself, and there are 3 embarrassed Redskins standing around him.
Oh, you're so right. This is not the coverage.
No.
Somebody had to be man for man on him and gave up on the coverage. Brooks is wide open, and give credit to Jeff George. He found him.
Well, he didn't have to go far, but he did it crisply. Jeff George. And remember, he answered a couple questions tonight. He's been banged around, nicked, hurt, came back, and not only has kept playing, but has played well.
Only thing the Colts might have done, they might have done it too quickly. A lot of time for the Redskins, and they got a red-hot field goal kicker tonight.
And remember, on their last drive, they had to burn a timeout. Rippon didn't like what he saw and went over to the sideline, so they only have 2 remaining.
George's numbers and Billy Brooks on the other end. Brooks, remember, had the silent first half and part of the third quarter, and then he became real noisy. 5 catches for 64 yards for Bill Brooks.
You know, Jeff George almost looks like he's sick down there on the Colt bench. They gave him a little whiff of smelling salts, and they're rubbing some ice water on his face.
He's made the Redskins sick in the process. Biasucci's kick is fielded at the 4 by Stephen Hobbs. And Hobbs brings it back out to the 22-yard line. There the Skins have it with 2 timeouts, 1:15 on the clock, and the way Lohmiller is kicking tonight, well, if you get it down to about the 35-yard line, he's got a real good chance. There he is, 53 and 56, and 2 others, and the 50-yarder that he missed hit the upright.
The 35-yard line equates into a 52-yard field goal, so you can do your own quick math as far as where they would like to be in relationship to that 35.
First down, Washington at the 22. Sanders comes in motion. Screen caught by Bryant. Tackled at the 19. Fine defensive play by Eugene Daniel.
Oh, Russ Grimm, the lead man of the screen, blew right by Eugene Daniel.
Oh, and this is bad news here.
Clutching the left leg.
Boy, he's grabbing at that knee.
And it's insult to injury here, too, because in the final 2 minutes when this happens, you're charged with a timeout that cost Washington a timeout.
And you know what? I don't think it happened when he got hit. I think Kelvin Bryant hurt his knee before he was even hit by the receiver. He threw by the tackler. Almost looks like he threw his leg out in front of him and something happened. Let's watch it from this angle. Right there. Yep, right there. Kelvin Bryant tossed his left leg out to make a cut to try to get away from Eugene Daniel, and you could see his left leg just flex right here. Right here, he's going to throw it out. Oh, and right there, it flexes to the inside. The hit from Eugene Daniel had nothing to do with Kelvin Bryant being hurt.
So they work on Bryant, and take another look here, and hopefully the type of injury in which Kelvin comes back quite quickly. Next week they go home, they face Buffalo, and then they don't have the benefit of that week off. They'll play a wild card game the following weekend.
Daniel coming up from the corner, forcing Bryant to make that severe move back to the inside. When you do that on an artificial surface, nothing grabs as severely, and that leg just didn't take it.
I believe it's similar to that's the same way that Kurt Warner, I remember, hurt his knee the first time, attempting to make a cut, throwing that leg out. And how about this?
Yep.
Now, I'll tell you what, you know automatically what a doctor will tell you about Kelvin Bryant. He's got loose knees to begin with. I mean, some guys, their knees are real tight. Some are loose. Kelvin Bryant has loose knees to be able to flex it like that and get up and walk off the field.
Without a limp. Play resumes, 58 seconds. Again, Washington had to spend a timeout because of the injury, since it was in the final 2 minutes. 2nd and 12. Rippon somehow gets it away, and it's intercepted by Alan Grant. The Stanford rookie scores.
And they are dancing in the street in Philadelphia. They are going nuts in Philadelphia.
Rippon threw that right into the coverage. He could not even see over the Colts that were in his face. One that he should never have thrown.
And a big assist to Donnell Thompson, who put the pressure on Rippon, forcing the throw.
Both coaches have been there before for Ron Meyer. A huge sigh of relief. You have no idea how that feels to be under so much pressure this year, and now he's apparently going to knock off the Washington Redskins. Joe Gibbs needs this game desperately, and he is watching it slide away.
Biasucci for the extra point.
But I'll take a guess at something. As good as it feels for Ron Meyer, it feels a whole lot worse for Joe Gibbs. This is a tough ball game to lose.
Look at the pressure in the face of Rippon. He's in a crowd, throws it out into the flat. Pressuring him is Donnell Thompson, and right into the arms of the rookie from Stanford, Alan Grant. No way Rippon could see from that point of view.
No, that was well, it's a cliche to say that was a bad pass, an ill-advised pass.
Well, Redskin fans tomorrow have to do what's been anathema through the decades. Root for Dallas.
Oh, you're right.
Dallas plays Philadelphia.
I mean, Washington is already in the playoffs. What was at stake for them was having that playoff game where they will almost certainly play the Eagles at RFK in Washington.
And being in control of their own destiny. They win tonight. They win in Buffalo. Nothing that Philadelphia can do, even though they win their final two. They would still have to play at RFK Stadium.
Also, the Colts will stay alive if they win this game, but again, it's an extraordinarily long chance for them to reach the playoffs. Pittsburgh has to lose twice. Cincinnati has to lose twice, and Seattle's going to lose twice. And then Indianapolis still has to beat Miami next week at Joe Robbie Stadium. But it's fun while it lasts for them anyway. Biasucci's kick is fielded at the goal line by Joe Howard. Out past the 20. Tackled at the 30. Skins have one timeout and 43 seconds. For Ron Meyer, I mean, how good have the last 48 hours been? He's gone from being #1 on the hit list to get fired, to having his owner say his contract will be honored for next year, to even talking about an extension, to pulling off a strategic gem here at the end to give his team the best chance to win and be on the verge of upsetting Washington.
And he got off the snide of calling that 4th down play in the first quarter.
From the 30, Rippon throws errantly for Biner. 2nd down.
And even more now, won't it?
Yeah, there's Jim Irsay, the vice president and general manager of this ball club, who took the heat off of this guy. I want to. How does a guy live in Indianapolis and have a tan in December? I mean, this guy does have everything going for him.
I think probably $25 a half hour or something.
George Hamilton of the coaching set.
2nd and 10 at the 30.
In a strip center owned by Jeff George.
Rippon throws. Monk makes the catch. Monk with an inside move now has to try to get out of bounds and does. And only an Art Monk makes that play. Stayed in to pick up the extra yardage and then somehow was able to wrangle his way out of bounds up at the 46 to conserve that final timeout.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or the use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Indianapolis Colts and the National Football League is strictly prohibited. And there's still life in them our skins here.
I gotta figure somebody to get the ball to Sanders or to Gary Clark.
29 seconds remaining. Rippon throws underneath to Biner. He's inside the 40-yard line. Tackled at the 35. And the Redskins have to use their final timeout with 18 seconds remaining. First down at the 35-yard line, and they are out of timeouts, trailing by 7.
Few things in sport are as difficult to handle as having a game in hand and then having it slip through your fingers. And that is precisely the feeling that everyone who roots for the Redskins, works for the Redskins, and plays for the Redskins is going to have to deal with if they do not come back and tie this thing up and force an overtime. This was a game that they had firmly in control, and they squandered it.
Now, no timeouts remaining. You would like to think you could get it underneath. The Colts are not going to give him anything deep. You have to get it to somebody that can run with the football once he gets control of it. Give him an option. Hopefully he can get out of bounds and stop the clock.
And really, you've reached that point in the game now where the middle box of the field is pretty much removed from you if you do not extend that box all the way to the goal line.
Clark to the left, Sanders and Monk to the right. Rippon stepping up. Look out from behind. Loses the football. Pile up at the 40-yard line. Washington has it with 7 seconds. Dwayne Bickett was the guy who stripped it, but now the Skins got to come back and get the play off.
Clark won't even be back to the line of scrimmage.
Now they stopped. I was under the impression that Jerry Markbright was blowing that clock dead when there was still 7 seconds on the clock.
He was.
Well, they'll start it right now.
Well, how'd it go from 7? How'd it go from 7 to 1?
It shows here they're all screwed up. We think this play counts. We think. Academic. It's over. Ron Meyer, he'll be back next year and maybe for years after. Called the right shots at the end, and this guy looked like a 10-year veteran.
He'll be back for many years to come, and it'll be interesting to watch this youngster develop. We saw him early in the year in preseason. We pinned it right there, the fact that he had the talent to do it, the arm to do it, and he's answered a lot of questions tonight about his toughness, his ability to move a ball club when time is running out. He can develop into something.
And you saw going off the field Alan Grant, the rookie, who picks a most opportune moment for his first professional interception. Colts are 7-8 after losing their first 3 games this season. And in what has been a tempestuous year for Indy with the holdouts and the Dickerson suspension and all that, they are still breathing. They still have playoff hopes. We'll see you New Year's Eve from New Orleans. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf. Good night from Indianapolis.